Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, welcome back to Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast. I'm your host, Dagster Moriarty. Constellation Cross, sacred symbols today. How about that? How about that action?
I know. Very exciting.
Right? 3 podcasting titans and little old me. I'll take it. You know what I mean? I think, has this happened before? I'm not even sure.
It must have happened before.
This might be number 2. Maybe 3 tops, right?
Yeah, I feel like two podcasting titans, Dagan and Dustin.
Oh, that's great. What did I do?
Ouch. It starts early.
Let's see how your empire goes without me, bitch. I'm out.
You're like the Grand Moff Tarkin.
That's going to lead right to my intro, Dust, of you when I get to... Yeah, I have to say this before going around introducing the fellas. It's one of those podcasts where I'm really grateful you guys can't see me below the waist. It's not good. Not that it's good above the waist. Not that I'm bringing it particularly above the waist, but below the waist,
you got a boner.
Not too great. Not looking like raggedy black shorts. Let me describe it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Socks that barely fit. You got the bare legs out. They're all scabbed up from gardening. It's not. Oh, this is not good.
Not good.
It's not a good look.
It's so basically grateful. The way I look every day below the waist. Except I also have a boner, a huge boner.
Well, that's the thing. We could be doing anything down there. Let's go youngest first. Oh. Wait, is Dust technically youngest or is Chris technically youngest?
No, Chris, I think he's younger than Dust.
Okay, let's start with Dustin first.
Nothing matters at all.
There's no rhyme or reason, my friends. Dust. Well, I was thinking about Dust because I'm going to see him in June. That's right. In the flesh, not just across a webcam. It's very exciting. Dust, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, well, we are doing too many games this year, which we know the time of the panel, but they haven't announced it yet. So we'll just leave that. It's announcement soon, but we're going to be there, so that'll be exciting. I'm doing okay today. Just my allergies, my eyes in particular. Like I can't resist scratching. Like I'm not actually scratching them, but it's been bad. But other than that, I'm looking forward to something tonight, boys. I discovered an unholy food item online that very appealing to my interests. So much so, I'm going to go to fucking Walmart exclusively for this tonight. And I was mentioning to the Sacred Boys, watching The Two Towers tonight with my friend Brandon. He's never seen any Lord of the Rings. We're watching them each week.
Okay.
This item is a Pop-Tart ice cream sandwich.
I saw this. Oh. I saw this. Yeah, I saw this.
Tell me more.
Relevant to my interests. So I'll be picking that up. Hopefully it's good.
That's going to be a lot of
Pop-Tart flavor is it? I need to know the details here. Give me the deets.
Well, okay, a few things here. First of all, there is strawberry, chocolate, cinnamon sugar, of course, the classic, my favorite. But the calories really aren't as bad as you would think, which I think it's because they're tiny.
Oh,
they're
okay.
real
Yeah,
tiny.
I was going to 2 Pop-Tarts because I just had Pop-Tarts a couple days ago. So I looked at, Micah bought me raspberry Pop-Tarts, which are like my favorite Pop-Tarts. And they're incredibly rare for some reason. Like you just don't see, at least in our neck of the woods, you just don't see them. You see strawberry, you see cinnamon, like the chocolate stuff and all that, but raspberry, very rare. So she saw it and she picked it up. It's the one with the white frosting with just the red sprinkles. Yeah, and I love that. So I was like, dude, this is awesome. So I haven't had them in years. And I flipped it over. It was like 370 calories, I think, for 2 of them. So you're thinking of those. I was thinking of those as sandwich buns around ice cream. So I'm looking at, 800 calories or something, but you're saying it's not so bad.
Okay. One sandwich is 230 calories.
That's like barely more than 1 Pop-Tart.
These gotta be insanely tiny. Let's see, 2.5 ounces for each
Yeah,
ice cream
that kind of
sandwich.
doesn't mean anything to me.
They're small though.
I'm going to need to eat 4 of them, probably.
Oh yeah.
You know, so, or the other option is that you just do it yourself, DIY, get actual full-size Pop-Tarts,
I like this.
get some
idea.
squared ice cream. Yeah,
Get a square ice cream scoop.
Oh. And ice cream of your choice. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Get whatever you want, whatever flavor, whatever brand. Now you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to some strange Pop-Tart concoctions. I think at the Butler Farm Show grounds, which is, of course, that's where Trump was shot. When I was there a few years ago, I got a deep fried Pop-Tart with ice cream.
Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
That
Very
sounds
good.
good.
Very good.
That's the only thing I
we'll
remember
deep fry
about that place.
Yeah.
They had a deep fried Pop-Tart.
Nothing else
unholy
happened there.
Something totally unholy in Butler.
Something I know. How the hell did it take that long to create a Pop-Tart and manufacture and sell a Pop-Tart ice cream sandwich? Both things have been around for decades. You know, this is the kind, I mean, as you say, you could do DIY, but
It is kind of crazy that something like that hasn't, like, that seems like a 90s thing.
What wasn't there a Pop-Tart cereal?
I'm sure there was.
That
There's
does
a
sound familiar.
There's a Sour Patch Kids cereal, so I have no doubt in my fucking mind that there's
There really is. Or it was.
Pop-Tart cereal did exist.
Yeah, I remember that. I have a weird take, very Colin take, that the best part of the Pop-Tart are the edges of the Pop-Tart where the frosting, you just get a little bit of frosting and a little bit of the fruit.
I agree.
But you get that bread. I love that.
Really?
Yeah.
I agree.
That feels like a Micah take.
No, I like that part. It's
really?
My favorite part of the Pop-Tart is the edges.
What?
Yeah, I like the
I
edges.
don't know.
It's the same thing with, like, I love obviously the middle of a sandwich too, but I feel like the crust disrespect is like crazy. Like, what's wrong with everybody? You don't like the crust of bread? Grow up.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like when people would cut pizza in squares, right? And I would be like, when it got to the middle, right, where it was just a square of pizza with no crust, I always hated those.
Oh,
Like, there's something about
right.
There's something about an edge.
That
I
I
need an
get.
edge.
You need to be
That I
edging.
do get.
I need to be edging my entire life.
Edging.
Right.
If I'm eating, I'm edging.
Now,
Is this a Walmart exclusive, Dust? Is that what's going on here?
that's just where I was able to search an online inventory
Okay.
to find them. So I know that if I go there, it'll hopefully be a one stop. If not, I'm gonna have to stop over at John Eagle.
Yeah, John Eagle.
John Eagle. So, and I'd rather not. I mean, they're both equally not fun to stop at, but
Yeah. Particularly Walmart. It's the checkout situation at Walmart. Why
What are they
can't
doing
they
over
fix
there?
it? What's happening?
Everyone got mad at me. What was it, last week when I was on this show dig where I was saying I was at Walmart and I was surprised. Micah was getting mad at me because I had like a somewhat a tense interaction with the checker,
Yes.
and she was saying that the checker was mentally handicapped, and I'm like, how can that be?
The receipt
And then
checker.
everyone got mad at me for it.
I just
you don't
think,
understand where I'm coming from with
I just
this?
don't think you understood that the person was on the spectrum.
Well, I'm on the spectrum. So it's
Even more
I'm blind to it.
further down or up.
Oh my God, like way further down than I am, you know. Down the rabbit hole we went with this particular fella.
I understood what was I understand why people might have taken exception because
But
you
why?
thought the person was having an attitude and it's just the person's general demeanor.
Right, but why would you put that as the phalanx of the spear, right? The person that
The phalanx of the
the person that's checking to make sure I like did all the math and all, like, I feel like that's got to be someone real sharp,
Oh,
personable.
Yeah,
You put the spectrum people as the baggers. You know, that's what you do. Or stocking shelves.
You're
know?
going to say shopping carts are out getting the
Shopping carts,
corralling
yeah.
the shopping carts.
I feel like you put the assholes out at the shopping carts, you know?
Yeah. You don't want to put the Spectrumites out
But
there.
you think the
No.
spectrum people are the assholes.
No, I think that the claim was that I mistook a spectrum person for
Right.
an asshole, but
This is a crazy conversation.
anyway.
Anyway, Kyle, let's stick with you for Lowe's. What's going on, my dude? Besides the spectrum hate, what else you got going?
Nothing really. It's been a week, and we're here on it's Friday when we're recording, as we usually do. Just hanging out. We'll go to dinner tonight, and otherwise, yeah, Mother's Day is this weekend. I'm going to go out with Mom next week for dinner. And I saw her actually a couple days ago for lunch. So yeah, just hanging out, going to play games this weekend. I got to finish Indiana Jones and get into Expedition 33. And then Doom is right around the corner. It's getting great reviews. Not a huge surprise. So I'm excited about that too. So yeah, a lot of things keeping us busy. Hockey playoffs are going on. So that's been fun. Yeah, just a few things keeping us busy. But yeah, days just kind of blur into each other. Weeks kind of blur into each other. It's just what it is. Getting muggy out. You know,
it really is.
But it's good.
Allergies, like Dustin's saying, that's not helping.
This is the first place I've ever lived where I have allergies here. It's strange because I never had. I used to make fun of everyone for that. Well, the plants make me fucking sad. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds normal and real. Like I remember being a little kid and being like, I got allergies. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Go outside.
But it gets you. It catches up. Eventually, it will get you. Yeah, it's like karma.
I have no empathy for anything that I don't understand. You know, so it's the same thing of when I was offered the standing desk 15 years ago, and I was like, you guys are out of your fucking minds. A standing desk? A standing desk. You want me to stand? And now, like, I'm standing on every episode of Sacred Symbol. So I don't know anything. I didn't know anything. It's good to be here.
The standing desk is so weird because there's always one person in the office using it only, and everybody else is sitting. So that person is already automatically visually singled out. Like I'm thinking of the person, shout out to UN. She was an awesome person, but she was the only one with the conviction of the standing desk. And she looked so odd to me all the time.
Yeah.
Standing 8 hours a day while everybody else is sitting. It's a weird look. I mean, shout out to somebody who doesn't care. Right. But it's like, podcasting, I couldn't see it. Like I held, when you and I and Chris were doing the show a few weeks ago, I held the mic the entire time. That was bad enough.
Like one of the e-girls on their podcast.
Yes, that's it's a choice.
Sitting in unusual, like I saw one where the girl was just like basically spread eagle. I'm like, what are you doing here? Why even bother? Point. Yeah, like put the microphone away. You don't need that. If that's if this is what you want to do.
That's an OnlyFans thing. You were on OnlyFans at that point. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't on. I was on Twitter, but yeah, fair enough.
Same thing.
Yeah, it kind of at this point it kind of is like I'm scrolling through it because you just get ads and it's just like, oh, you know, inappropriate ad, and then you just keep scrolling. Like, all right, I don't know, because they say I stopped blocking and muting things because, except I mute things that are really annoying, but I stopped doing that because they say the more you mute, the more you block, the more it hurts your algorithm on Twitter. Like they don't really want you dicking around with that, unfortunately. So yeah, it's like, all right, I got to deal with these ads and, you know, whatever it is, what it is. All I click on are cat videos and fight videos anyway. So it's a real messed up kind of.
Your algorithm's all fucked.
It's the same thing with YouTube. It has no idea what I want.
Oh,
it's out of control. It's like, do you want a lawn cutting video or a deep dive into like Russian history?
Yeah.
Or this man in Australia that clears septic tanks. Like, which one are you looking for today? Or are you looking for a deep dive interview or a Yale lecture?
Sure.
It's fucking nonsense. I hate it.
I
almost want to reset it, which I think you can do.
I mean, you just get a new account.
Yeah, you could get a new account. Yeah.
Oh, but I think
you can clear your cookies and like your cache and stuff like that too.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get videos like 480p Russian videos of old Russian men injecting semen into chicken eggs and then growing little homunculuses. Those are my favorite.
There's all sorts of things going on in Russia.
It's not our fault though. There's so many fascinating things that we want to check out across the board. It's not, we're victims of that.
Dude, half the things I see, I'm like, I want to do this. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I watch these.
I watched, and I'd be told, by the way, completely incapable of doing any of this stuff. But some of them I'd be able to do. Like, I like the guys that go around and clean people's like yards and then just film it.
Oh, I love that.
I could do that. I would love to do that actually if I had like the time and inclination.
What's going on with that though? Those guys are getting in trouble now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
all of a sudden there's like this rash of like, you're breaking the law, stop it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I do see that. There's that one guy, Al Blades, I watch, who like seems to get into some trouble sometimes, but it's very, but the one I've been watching actually recently are like solo sailors. I get into this every so often, people that sail like across the Atlantic or the Pacific by themselves.
You see Sam Holmes? Are you watching Sam Holmes?
No,
that's my guy.
Maybe I am. I don't know. He's like he's always smiling. This guy I'm watching, like he always seems really happy. It might be the same guy. and he's great. And he's kind of got like a shitty boat too.
Yeah.
And so
this is the guy.
Yeah, I think this is right. This is, and it must be, he's always smiling, right? Like he's always in a good mood. Yeah.
Always.
So no matter like what's like, I think I saw his mast like crack or something once, and he was like, 800 miles from like any island.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
dude,
damn, this is, but that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, I want to do this. But what I want to do is I want to be on the boat and someone else does all the work.
Okay.
Yeah.
You would do it though?
Yeah. I don't think
it's
dangerous, but I don't think it's 17th century dangerous anymore.
Okay.
You have all sorts of tools. You probably have like a little like an inflatable lifeboat. You can put on a life jacket. I mean, you might die if you get caught in like a squall or a hurricane.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's all this weight. Like think about back in the day, like when Columbus just raw dogged the Atlantic 4 times, right? Like they had no idea what they were doing. And they just did it. They were like, we have no idea about the storm systems that we're going to run into, the cycles of anything. Like and it was like, let's just do it.
No idea. Think of the boats. These are handmade boats. These weren't machined things. Insane. 4 times.
I always think about that with like Magellan too, although he didn't make it all the way. Obviously his like crew did. He died at some point, but it's like those motherfuckers were gone for years.
It's insane.
Yeah. Just fucking circling the planet. They had no idea where they were. They had no idea how long it was even going to take or like where they were going or what they were going to run into. It's crazy.
It's absolute insanity.
Awesome. It's so awesome. That's why I love space travel, because that's like the next place to do that kind of shit. You know,
I'd much rather be in space than the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with the ocean at all. Not
Chris,
a fan.
expand on this with your hellos, my friend. I want to know about that. So you're less scared of space than the ocean. Much less scared.
Yeah, good to be here. I hate the ocean. No, I don't like the fact that it's not so out of reach. You know what I mean? Like it is right there. Like I've been at the ocean. You know what I mean? But I don't know anything about it. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to run into there. There's depths of it that we don't understand. I just feel like space is a lot more novel. It's a lot more interesting. And it's so out of reach as a normal casual on the planet exister that like it's a lot more appealing to me. Whereas the ocean, like I've seen the ocean. I get it.
You've been near it. You've been on it.
I've been near it. I've been at the edges of the ocean, and
it's so vast.
I don't care for it. Yeah,
it's so vast. That's what when I watch these videos, like that guy's videos, it's like, and you just look around, and you're like, dude, he's like in a little piece of it, like just a small fraction of it, and I'm like, this is so huge. And Chris and I always talk about how much we hate the ocean, like the ocean life and all the rest, and like the mysteries of the ocean. But I'm always just fascinated, like, this is such a stupid thing to say, but like, how does the water not just continue to seep into the planet? At some point, there are like ways for it to just stop. I guess it gets permeated. All the different chasms and crevices are filled, and then these things just kind of sit there.
I know what you mean, though.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of weird when you think about it. Like if you just dug a hole and then put a water in it, it would eventually evaporate or go into the ground or whatever, and you'd have to keep filling in. It would have to get saturated, like with artificial lakes and shit like that. And so it's like, damn, it's just so weird, especially the Pacific Ocean. I find the Pacific Ocean especially weird because it's like half the planet.
It's insane when you think about it. Look at a globe. It's like,
if you turn the globe, we never really look at it this way, but if you turn the globe, there is an entire side of the globe that's just water, basically. And like Hawaii and like a little bit of Australia, and you get a little bit of the curve of the
right.
Ring of Fire. But it's like, damn, dude, this is huge.
We never draw the Earth from that perspective. It's kind of unfair, isn't it? You see the cartoon Earth, it's never that. Like a little bit of land on each side and just water.
And just
it's always the iconic.
Yeah.
I guess
it's not fair.
It wouldn't offend anybody, though. I guess that's kind of the point.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be like some random fish man who's been floating out there for 40 years eating, I don't know, plankton.
Barnacles.
It scares the shit out of me. Like just the idea of like being like in the middle of the ocean on like even with like a floaty thing and just kind of trapped there. And you're going to freeze to death. Something's going to eat you. And the thing that's going to eat you is something that you've never seen before, probably. Like that's what's really distressing to me. Like whenever we find like some new fucking animal, it's always out of the ocean. It's like, look, we found a sea leopard. And it's like, oh, great. Fucking what else there's a dragon in the lake. And
dude, there's like so much shit in there we don't know about. There's so much. That's why everybody's fascination with finding extraterrestrials and life in space. It's like, no, look down. Like there's so much shit in that ocean. It's just impossible to find it. Yeah.
It's just not as interesting because it all probably came from the same, universal ancestor. We want to find life somewhere else because we want to know that it exists somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's true.
I
It's
do
a
agree with you, though. The ocean
conversation.
is teeming with mysteries, but it's crazy. We've talked about this before with the UAP stuff, that the UAP stuff is suggested to all be in and out of the water, not out of space, which is like that they're using the water to hide. And it's like,
People
that's
have
like a
said
common theme. Like basically everyone that's in on it says that.
Well, UAP,
It's like,
what's
oh my
UAP again?
God.
What's
Makes
UAP again?
sense.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, it's
Like
a
the
UFO.
new term for UFO.
Oh, is that's the woke UFO term?
That's
Yes, indeed.
UAP.
Oh man. Well, you know what's crazy? I knew, not to bring the conversation down, but I knew Pakistan and India were beefing, but I didn't know they were on the verge of like war with each other. That's fucked.
Yeah,
It's kind of surprising.
Not our problem. It's like seriously, I'm like whatever. I don't. They have nuclear weapons, which is what makes it dangerous. But it's like this has
Very
nothing to
scary.
do with me. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Nuts. I didn't realize it escalated to that point until right before we started today. And I was like, whoa, I just saw, a blurb and I was like, oh shit. I didn't realize it was over Kashmir either.
It's always been over that,
I mean, it makes sense.
So, I mean, it's a good fabric, but
is it worth fighting over?
I don't know if
It's not the Led Zeppelin song they're fighting.
Yeah.
I really didn't know much about India. I still don't know much about Indian and Pakistani history, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that they were the same place. That were, the English basically took them over together, and then they had like this interscene conflict and split up after World War II. So it's a new kind of thing, and like they have beef that like it's the same thing I feel about with the Russians and Ukrainians, frankly, where I'm like, we don't understand this. Like we could have some sort of opinion on it. There are certainly geopolitical experts that will understand it, diplomats and military people, but like I have no idea what they're mad at each other. Like really, like what's going on, and it's not my problem. So.
So sending our best to
just
that
keep
region.
those nukes put away. Like who do we want to win the India-Pakistan conflict? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, actually, I would have no idea.
I really don't. I don't know. I'm not even being facetious. I don't know. I assume the Indians do seem to be friendlier with the Indians.
Yeah,
the Pakistanis were hiding Osama bin Laden for years. No, that was Pakistan.
Yeah, that was.
So, and one's I guess Hindu, one's Islamic. They're all those kinds of things, but like it's like I don't really know who I'm supposed to want to win this one. I'm totally ignorant on it. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what side is what, but like one thing is clear: we must invade Iran.
Yep. That checks
The answer
out.
to everything is just invade Iran.
All right, boys. Good to be here. We stretched our limbs a little bit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something a little unconventional. I'm going to start today, right? Because
Whoa.
I have a warm and fuzzy one for you guys today. Oh, but it's a topical one. We already mentioned it a little bit. I want to talk about now
India and Pakistan.
India and Pakistan. Who's going to win? Who do you want? Who's your money?
Who's your
on?
favorite general? Who's your favorite Hindu god?
Oh, that's a good one. They got the best imagery.
Shiva.
Catholicism be damned. The Hindus got the best gods. So cool.
Yeah, they're like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. It's kind of crazy.
They really are.
Like it's like a 10-year-old born in 2002 made a lot of them. Like they're really cool.
They're so cool.
Yeah, it's unreasonable.
All right, so we're rooting for the Indians.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, based on imagery and iconography. Like
butter chicken.
I'm rooting for whoever
Tikka masala.
wins.
Who are you rooting for, Chris?
Whoever wins.
Oh, whoever wins. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm a
Well,
fair weather.
Bollywood.
I'm a fair weather supporter.
United States World War I style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just wait. Let's see how this plays out.
But moms. Let's talk about moms now.
Yeah.
Little glimpse behind the curtain for the audience. I changed the topic at the 0 hour. I did this to the guys. I apologize. I was initially going to do, I'm just going to tell you, I was going to do the topic of riddles. Everybody brings a riddle. But even in that initial email that I sent, I was like, I hate riddles so much.
I'm so glad you feel the same way. Because when I read that email, I'm like, dude, I fucking hate riddles. Riddles are the dumbest thing ever.
can never solve them.
I didn't even read further into it because I just saw riddles and I immediately was just so upset. I was so angry.
I'm really glad I retracted this. Dust, where do you weigh in on riddles?
Yeah, I think riddles are
you think they
almost always lame.
Oh, man, I'm really glad I didn't do this.
Yeah. And I can't even think of a riddle because usually if someone tells me one, I try to forget it as quickly as possible. Yeah. So
riddle me this, Batman.
Yeah. Yep. I know. You think of the Riddler.
That's all I think about is the Riddler. That's all I think about.
Yeah. Who was that? Gollum and Bilbo in the Hobbit. That's probably what inspired it, right? They played a riddle game.
You must answer my riddles 3. It's just a bunch of indirect questions. Like I don't really get the
Jesus.
I don't really get the core like whimsy of riddles in the first place. It's just they're just badly worded questions. It's just like if you asked an idiot to ask a question.
You know what I realized? They're kind of puns. They're just puns, basically, right? Like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Are just basically puns or jokes, bad joke. So I dodged a bullet.
They're puns without the pretext of even trying to be funny. So it's just misdirection.
That's really well said.
It's absurd. It's like what gets wetter as it dries? A towel. And it's like
that's the other shitty thing about choosing that topic is that we would have had to found one that exists because no one's writing a riddle.
Yeah.
Only Tolkien could write a riddle. Like nobody could write an actual good riddle. It's impossible.
Yeah, no one studies. No one's a studier of the art of riddlery anymore. You know, there's no riddleists in the world no more.
There's 3 people in the audience that are like, "Fuck you guys, riddles are the best." I'm so disappointed, but everybody else is relieved, and I'm relieved because now I know how you guys feel about riddles. Yeah, I knew that was a weird one. You know, it was one of those ones that was on the list for so long. I was like, let me give this the old college try. Maybe it'll be funny trying to figure out what the hell these. But anyway, I said, you know what? It's Mother's Day. Got moms on the brain. Let's talk about moms. Let's celebrate them ahead of Mother's Day. Now, for us, it's a couple of days ahead. For most people listening, it's going to be just after Mother's Day, but so be it. And let's celebrate the moms out there. Maybe your mom, maybe the other moms in your life, or let's take it a whole nother direction. If you want, let's air our grievances. We got beefs with our moms. Let's kind of get those issues out in the open. Let's put it all out on the table, my friends. I'll tell you why I'm thinking of this. I mean, there's 4 moms that I have to shout out to before I hand it over to you guys, but I just watched my wife, Helene. You guys all know her a little bit, at least a little bit. I've been watching her in the act of momdom for 18 years now, and I still don't know how she does it. Now, I'm not saying dads bring it too. I'm not saying they don't, but moms just bring it on a whole nother level. You know what it is? It's a multitasking thing. So, and women just have this power, this selflessness, and this energy to divide themselves into many different people and tackle all these different tasks. And I think it starts with childbirth. I think there's some sort of like men, there's no way men could give birth, right? There's just no way. We know women, they're just built of tougher stuff. And I think from that moment of conception, carrying a child, giving birth on down, there's just something that a mom brings to the table. I watch Helene, like I've been watching the sausage being made for 18 years. I still have no idea how she does it. And I got a front row seat every day in and day out. It's like, holy shit, So I say when you're a good mom, there's just something special about it. And it reminds me of our mom growing up. I mean, she was just like really dynamic, really selfless, really unselfish, gave all of herself, even in the little details, like making lunch and cutting off the crusts and doing all these special things, making you feel special, right? So I'm going to shout out to our mom and Colin. I'm sure Colin will continue that conversation in that way. But med's a meds. She's all right. She's okay. We'll take her. Helene. And then I grew up, I was always blessed with really good moms in my life. My best friend's mom, shout out to Mrs. Peage. We lost her, gosh, man, it must be close to 10 years ago now, right? But she was the best. So I always had that surrogate mom from the time I met PJ. as a teenager, I had that other mom in my life. I was really lucky. And then I had that again with my mother-in-law. Shout out to Helen, another person in my life who's just I've always been blessed with those good moms. I've always had them in my life. So I'm really fortunate. And I want to know how you guys weigh in on the topics of moms. But Dust, I'm going to go to you first because I feel like we have to bookend it with me and Kyle because we're going to be talking about the same mom. So Dust, let me go to you first on the topic of moms ahead of Mother's Day.
Yeah. So yeah, for me with my mom, the thing that's been interesting, I think I've talked about this at one point or another, but many of you know my mom was 16 when she had me. So just a little girl practically, having a kid. And it's funny because when I was a kid, I knew it was different than the situation that a lot of my friends were in, but I didn't think about it that often. And it's not until you get a lot older, you realize like, holy shit, that must have been so insanely stressful, borderline traumatizing to be in that situation at that age. Like I was a moron at 16. I still am a moron.
Me too. My God.
So it was always neat growing up because, and it still is really interesting because my parents and I are very close in age. So like, actually, technically, Dag, sorry, I am closer in age to my mom than I am with you.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So
that's incredible to me.
Yeah, but not by a lot. I don't want to freak you out too much, but
I've accepted it.
Yeah,
I've accepted the oldness.
But yeah, Dag, you're talking about like the selfless things that you kind of don't think about growing up, but then you do when you're older, where you're like, man, my mom took me to see the Pokemon movie, and I'm sure that she wanted to fucking die the entire time. And things like that they do for you. You're like, man, that's it's really awesome. So, and I've mentioned my parents, they did live in Virginia, but they just recently moved back to Butler. So it's been great that.
Oh shit. I didn't know that, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're back here in Butler, which has been great. So, it's been great. And I'm thankful to have a really good relationship with her. So, this Mother's Day is going to be different and not very good, but we'll keep the mood up for this one. So,
yeah, that's awesome that your parents moved back. How do they feel about it? Are they happy to be? Because they were in Virginia for at least 5 years, right?
They moved there in 2018. So,
so longer than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, they're it's been funny though with my dad, just because he with him working for the government, being hired, like being a remote position and now being not a remote position, it's been pretty chaotic for him. But yeah, my mom, dude, she how old is she now? 48, 49? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think I'm closer in age to your parents than I am, or your mom anyway, than I am to you.
That's incredible.
Yeah, she the thing that I've admired about her is that she's never been afraid to be herself and do the things that she wants to do. A few years ago, she picked up playing roller derby, and like she was on a team in Virginia, like playing seasons and stuff like that. She joined the team here in Pittsburgh. Unfortunately, she just needed to have knee surgery. So she's out for a little bit, but she has always been really talented as an artist, mostly in painting, but she just started doing stained glass, dude. And it's so cool. She's been making like all kinds of different stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to my mom, shout out to Holly's mom. Also great. But, yeah,
the mother-in-law thing. When you get the cool mother-in-law, that's you gotta embrace that. We're very lucky,
dude. It's especially noticeable if like some of the girls I dated, none of them had terrible moms, but definitely ones I did not get along with. And it's a huge relief when you do get along with them.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, it becomes another mom. It becomes usually now you got two moms. I mean, it's the best case scenario. You win. right?
Yeah.
Stained glass is hard, dude. That's a difficult. PJ's mom did that. It's hard to do.
She picked it up in like 2 weeks.
That's insane. That's like a really difficult, like, no, everybody knows, like, this is like one of the most difficult things you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Super cool, dude. You know what's cool about your parents too? They do have that thing. Like I'm old enough to know, I'm even older than your parents. I mean, you and your dad might be and your dad may be the same exact age. I'm not sure. We're very close in age.
Yeah.
But they always seemed cool to me from the moment I met them. And they have definitely resisted that thing of like, when you get older, especially in the suburbs, for some reason, there's that assimilation thing. You know what I mean? You just kind of assimilate, you kind of abandon your identity a little bit. I've talked about this before, and at least you kind of bury those things down a little bit. And it's not necessarily a fitting in thing. I just think it's kind of like what happens. You become like a product of your environment a little bit.
Right.
And they definitely haven't done that. You know what I mean? Which is kind of like, I see a guy my age in my neighborhood occasionally skateboarding around the neighborhood, and I'm shocked by it because it's like, you just don't see that. And I'm like, I celebrate that dude because everybody else just kind of took up, it's not, and I'm not saying this is bad, but they take up golf. They're on the bowling team. Those are all cool things, but you kind of become that sort of that thing that we all know, that stereotypical thing slowly. But they still, like your dad's still super into his music. They dress, like young. They actually look young as a result of that. I think you holding on to your youth physically is a big part of that, because you just don't change who you are. The fabric that you're made of. They're really good. They're both really good with that.
What's been kind of funny since they've moved back is there has been, I think, 2 instances where some of my friends have hung out with my parents with me not there. One of them was my dad won these tickets to some cover band thing at this theater on Main Street, and I was like, I was either busy that night or not feeling great, so I was like, I'm good. So my dad offered Brandon to go, and Brandon and our friend Jason, and they went with my parents.
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
well, I was like getting pictures from my mom of this, crappy band playing or whatever. And there's Jason and Brandon hanging out with my parents. I was like, all right. I mean, cool. It doesn't bother me at all. But, and one time I think I got invited to go to like a bar. I think it was like 9 p.m. on a Thursday or something. I was like, I'm too old for that shit. But yeah, it ended up Brandon went out and had drinks with my dad and a few of his buddies. I was like,
awesome. So
right.
Awesome.
I mean, no problem.
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, that's a case in point. That's rare. I mean, I love my parents, but I don't know that they were ever that cool. Right. Definitely not. And they have youth on their side too, because they had kids so young.
Right.
Which is really cool. I mean, that's like the ideal scenario for both of you guys. For both parties, because you're going to have it, for all intents and purposes, God willing, you're going to have each other longer. So it's pretty neat.
There's a very real possibility I die before my mom statistically. At the very least, we could be in the same nursing home. If I'm 70 and she's 86, who knows?
Wow. Yeah. Think about
that's
it
crazy.
That way. 16-year difference. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. That's cool. That's awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear they're back too, because now I might have an occasion to see them a little more, which is actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your dad's
dude,
awesome.
Come out for the Pittsburgh Retro Gaming Show, dude.
Oh, when is that?
I think it's the first week in October this year.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's far enough out to plan. Even I could plan that far out. That's pretty neat. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, that'll be a good time to see Trav. Chris, where do you go with moms, man? Your own mom? This could be aunties, neighbors, friends' mom, whatever, however you want to take it. For Mother's Day, what do you got from me on the subject of moms?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, my mom's older. Like my parents in general are on the older side. Like my mom's like 65 or something. I think like mid 60s. My dad's mid 70s. They had me a little bit older. I think my mom was 34 or something when she had me, so like it's a little bit older. But my mom, I feel like it's so weird because I feel like I've seen my mom change a lot. Like not necessarily as like a core person, but definitely like when I was like a really young kid in Yonkers, I remember specifically like I thought of her as like a businesswoman. And she was always in like the pants and like the blazer and like the shorter haircut or whatever. And she was always doing something, and she was always like busy or just going off doing. Because they ran both my parents ran a furniture store on I think Woodlawn or Longwood Avenue, somewhere in the Bronx, or somewhere else in Yonkers. I don't remember it that well. I was like maybe 6 when they shut it down, or like when they.
It was their business.
Yeah, it was their business. They had a furniture store. It was like a local furniture store.
No way.
And my mom kind of ran it, but it's so funny thinking about that period of time, because now my mom's like such a new age kind of like meditation oriented. Like
that's awesome.
Like if I'm ever feeling bad, she's like, "Oh, I have an oil for that." And she'll send me like care packages of like incense and Palo Santo, which is like this. It's like similar to incense. It's like a little stick of things that you like burn and move throughout the house and like clean. It's all about chakras and stuff.
Love it.
And it's so funny because I just remember like I remember you like on like with like a Bluetooth headset. You know what I mean? Like mega busy and stressed out. And I have to imagine that probably plays a role in it, right?
Absolutely.
She's like,
that's how it happens.
That sucked. But like, I have a great relationship with both my parents, but like my mom in particular is like, she's just very, very, she's very funny. Like both my parents are very funny for some reason. Like I just think they are genuinely hysterical. But like my mom is just very, she will say things that she's very much not supposed to say. And it's not like an offensive thing. It's not like she's like edgy or something. It's the opposite. She's like actually like very, very considerate of people and what to say. But like she'll like if she's not feeling something, she's like I'm out of here. Like and it's a very kind of Larry David bluntness that I've always been like I've always been jealous of because I try to inhabit it sometimes, but it's like it's so much easier for her. But I remember her as like kind of like the central point of our core family. Like we had the Seinfeld apartment where like everybody would come in, like everybody would show up, and like my aunt lived upstairs, and then we had this old lady named Rose that lived like, and she looked like the most stereotypical old lady in the fucking world. Like it was crazy. Like if you drew an old lady with like the bushy hair and like white and small. And so like we had a lot of just weird characters like popping. I think I told the story on the podcast before. We knew a guy named Spunky, or at least that's how I knew him. And he was like so clearly like a Kramer tier fellow who would just like, he had like a leather vest. I remember this so vividly. He had a leather vest. He always had his hair in like a ponytail or like a bun. It was all slicked back. He was really tall and lanky, and no one knew what the fuck he did. Like I didn't know what he did. I don't think my mom knew what he did. I think we learned later what he did, but I think when I was a kid and I learned it, I was like, that's not as interesting as what I thought before, so I'm gonna forget it and keep it the story that I grew up with. But
that's the Kramer prototype. That's the prototype.
It is totally the Kramer prototype. And I remember he would like sometimes I would like wake up and he would just be like rummaging through our fridge. It was so funny in retrospect. After seeing that show, because I'm just like, that is Kramer, dude. But so many people would show up to our house, and even when they ran the furniture store, she was kind of like the neighborhood therapist in some way. Like people would show up to the furniture store and just talk to her, and she would like talk to specifically a lot of kids who maybe were doing shit that they shouldn't have been doing. And it was really like if people fucked with the furniture store in any way, like she had like a whole community of people like really going to bat for her.
That's awesome.
And it was like really, it's interesting to think about because I was too young to really notice that. But hearing about stories that other people would say about it, it's like, yeah, you kind of had like, she really was this kind of central figure, and she would be the person that everybody would come to fix shit, which I imagine is frustrating and weighs on you after a while. And I think that's why she's like so much more hands off now. Like I think she's actually like done now. She's like, look, I put in my time. Everybody can figure it out for themselves at this point, which I appreciate. But I love my mom. She's great. She's definitely like, she's the best person I know by a long shot. And I'm really thankful that I have that relationship with her and them in general, because I've seen, I never really understood or conceptualized a bad relationship with my parents to the degree that a lot of people had. Like I understood like strain, because we've had strain before, like even periods of time where like things were like really frustrating for both of us. But like I know people who just like, I haven't talked to my mom in 15 years or whatever. And it's just like, I can't even conceptualize that. I would be fucking I would be up Schitt's Creek without a paddle without my mom.
Oh, that's
she's helped me so many times, and she's given me like really sound advice, and still consistently like is eager to help me. So like I'm really grateful. I feel like I lucked out. And even in some of the relationships that I've had in the past, that like sometimes I would be dating somebody and I would be really disappointed that it didn't work out because their parents were so cool. Like specifically, I remember like a couple of years ago, I was dating this girl and her mom was so awesome. And I liked her mom more than her.
Yeah, that happens.
And I was just like, no. That's half joke. That's a half joke. But like she was because that was the first time I'd ever like had a partner's mom be like as supportive as like a mom that I would have, you know what I mean? Like I liked a lot of my girlfriend's parents or whatever, right? But like it was like a next level where she would like cook these crazy meals, and it's just like she was a chef, and that's so cool. Dating a person with a chef parent, because I've dated a girl I've dated a girl with a dad who was a chef, and I've dated a girl whose mom was a chef, and dude, it's so cool. It's the best shit ever.
Amazing.
Because it's sometimes like, hey, I'm working on this recipe. You want to come try it out? It's like, yes, for free. Yeah. It's like Gordon Ramsay tier shit. She's like sprinkling crazy shit. You're like, ooh, it's good shit. But I'm just grateful that I have a good relationship with both my parents, but especially my mom, because I know that's like not. I don't know how rare it is, but I know that it's not a given.
Yeah, sure.
And
it's definitely not a given.
I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah,
I always feel bad though sometimes because I don't call as much as I should, you know. And I don't.
Oh, me too. I'm so guilty of that.
I am actively aware that I should call more, but I think by the time that I'm thinking about that, it's like late in the day here, which means it's like even later in New York.
Oh, you got the time difference, yeah.
Yeah, the time difference sucks. It would be a lot better if like we switched places actually, because I would be like, oh, it's 2 a.m. I guess I'll call my mom, you know, because it's like. It's only 11 or something.
Have they ever showed that inclination? Not so much snowbird. In your case, it would be crossing the country. But have they ever, kind of hinted at the fact of maybe moving out of the Northeast? Or they're planted?
No, they're pretty planted. Like we have a lot of family up there. They like it. And I like it too. You know, it's a good place to be. It's just like I couldn't really do anything over there.
Yeah, I get
like,
that.
Yeah, and I don't see them ever moving. Like maybe they would do the standard thing where they would move to Florida, because that's what every New York
it's just a thing.
Old couple does.
It's what you do.
But I don't think. Like maybe Connecticut is where I the furthest I would see them going.
Which
is not far at all. Like
that's not far at all.
Connecticut is like I think Connecticut is 20 minutes from my parents' house. You know?
Oh, it's that close?
It's something like that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, that makes sense.
Because I mean,
go right up 84.
Because we're in the narrow part. You know, like where it's like the city, and then it like it's kind of narrow, and then it does the whole spread out thing.
Yeah,
but like we're in Poughkeepsie area.
Yeah, that's right.
So like it's not really that far. Like I remember when my half sister, she moved to Connecticut, and I was like, oh fuck, we're never gonna see her. And then we see her all the time. And I'm like, you live in Connecticut? I don't understand. Like you live in a different state. How are you? It's like, oh yeah, it's like 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, especially Western Connecticut. It's right there, Southern Connecticut.
I had no concept because I never had any interest. I never had to be like, oh man, there's something interesting happening in Connecticut. Let me find out how long it's going to take me to get there. Never once have I needed to go to Connecticut, except for once.
That's a Connecticut thing.
Except, I think years ago when I went to visit Anthony Fantano when we filmed a video together because he lived in Connecticut at the time, and that was when I realized like, oh my god, it's so close. That's crazy.
It's just the place that we had to go to get between college and Long Island.
Yeah, it's between Boston and New York.
It's like we just had, we got to go. You're just waiting to get through Connecticut, and then you're kind of close. Either direction.
I do love it though. It's so pretty. It's such a pretty state. Nice. Very slept on.
It's the weakest of the New England states, in my opinion. But it's still, I mean, by far, actually, in my opinion. But it is a great state. I mean,
Southern
Connecticut or like California. Give me a break, please.
That's a really unfair matchup, I think.
That really is.
Connecticut's cool though. Like I like what's nice about Connecticut is that it's cheap and you get like there's almost like a splash zone of New York culinary talent, right? That happens like from the city, and it's almost like Fallout, right? Where
absolutely.
Like the further away you get from New York City, the worse pizza gets, but it's still kind of good for a while. You know, like you can get good pizza in Pennsylvania, you can get good pizza in even in Boston in some places, although it's like a lot harder to find. And then you get to Ohio and it's over. It's like, but
I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah, but Connecticut's got a lot of a lot of people in New York who's just like they moved to Connecticut. The water's the same. Yes. So and if they know how to make the pizza, it's good shit. I've had like really, really, really great food in Connecticut for some reason.
Yeah, New Haven pizza is legendary.
That's iconic. Yeah,
literally.
New Haven.
New Haven.
It's supposed to be the best pizza capital of the Northeast. I mean, outside of New York.
It's real fucking good. But yeah, no, I don't see them moving really ever. Like they talk about moving, but I'm like, what are you gonna? Come on, you like it here. They clearly like it there. My dad's like in his mid 70s too, and he's like always like out doing shit. Like I don't understand. Like my great grandfather is still in Puerto Rico, just like
really.
Yeah, that's what's crazy to me. It's like my great grandfather's probably like 99 or something.
Wow,
and he's just traipsing around Puerto Rico.
What is going on? The Puerto Rican people so healthy. Those lifespans, man, it's amazing.
I don't understand. I'm upset about it.
Why? You got those genes.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to last that long.
I don't need to be around that long, man. Like I'm good. I'm low key. I'm satisfied as it is. So like everything after this, everything after this is like a bonus.
You were born in the wrong generation. You would have been a great like caveman.
Yeah.
Dude. I would have been a perfect caveman.
You'd be an elder right now.
Yeah, you would.
I'd be an elder. Perfect. Some spider would bite me, and I would asphyxiate and die. It's a great
Chris,
time.
you just go down like in your 40s, let's say. Go down to San Juan, chill.
Maybe. I have thought about many times moving to Puerto Rico.
You should for them. It's so cheap to live there.
It's so cheap and it's fucking gorgeous. And like I remember like a friend of mine went. We were supposed to plan a trip together, but like I think I just had so much. I had too much to work on, so I just I couldn't go. But like, he was sending me pictures of just like the ocean there, and it's just like fuck, dude. How is the ocean so nice? Like it looks like Far Cry Ocean. It looks
that's
fake.
a good point.
Like it's crazy because in LA and New York and the beaches, like Jones Beach or whatever, and in Santa Monica, the water looks fucking dingy and shit.
Yeah, the Santa Monica it is a little dingy.
It is, yeah.
No, even irrespective of like what's in it, like it just look like it's that green kind of murky. It's all fucking sand, and I don't know, man. It's just like it's a really disappointing thing when you think about like the ocean in your mind. You think of these deep blues.
Yeah, Mexico is the only place I really saw an ocean like that, where I was like, wow, the ocean really does look like this.
Turquoise.
In certain places, which is pretty cool.
Puerto Rico is the same, where it's just like, dude, that looks like it looks like someplace that I would wish into existence.
Yeah, it's paradise.
And so I would love to go. I gotta plan a trip, maybe in 4 years when air traffic control gets better or something.
It's not.
I don't know, man. I
right
saw a bunch of people talking about like ex air traffic control people be like, "Don't fly." It's like it's really fucked right now. I'm like,
don't fly out of Newark.
I heard Newark. Yeah, I heard
Newark.
Newark is specifically the place that you want to stay away from right now.
We changed
really?
it. We had a flight out of Newark to the Caribbean later in the summer, and we already changed it to JFK because there was just it's bad. There's Newark air flight controllers saying like, don't. It's too dangerous.
Where are you going in the Caribbean?
St. Thomas, St. John.
Oh, St. Thomas. Cool.
Yeah. Not too far from Puerto Rico. Not too far.
Puerto Rico.
Same waters.
Puerto Rico.
But Chris, I mean, who knows? Beautiful women, tropical climes, great food. Right?
Got to bring it in as a state already. I don't know what we're waiting for on this.
They don't want it.
Oh yeah, I guess they do vote. Well, and we would need some regional like Missouri compromise, like balance. Like we'd have to get a conservative state to come in at the same time. Like we can annex Manitoba or something like that and bring that in.
Because I would root for it too. As a fan of all things Puerto Rico, but they apparently, I have a really good neighbor that's Puerto Rican, and he briefs me on this. He's always there. He's there like every 3 months. His parents are there.
Some points shouldn't.
He's like the people just don't want it.
I don't like us having territories that are not states. It feels imperial. They should just become an independent country if they don't want to become a state. In my opinion, just leave then.
Yeah,
I think they would. I don't think they would mind that.
Yeah,
I don't think
either.
there's.
So it's like do what you want, but like let's get rid of this like interstitial. It used to be back in the day that things as we expanded westward and certainly in Alaska and Hawaii where it was very intentional. It's like you become an independent country very briefly in order to get annexed by the United States But then there are these things that become territories and then they become states like the Arizona territory and all of the rest. So it to me, I'm just like, yeah, all right. So you either are a state, and if you don't want to be a state, just go.
I think the thing and I don't know too much about this. I don't really talk that much about it. And I don't think my family really pays that much attention because a lot of my parents a lot of my family is here. Mm-hmm. Mostly in New York.
I was wondering about their take on it though.
I don't know. I think they're generally not for it. I think the only time that I ever remember that conversation happening was in regards to like what's happened to Hawaii. In the fact that it's like it's an island and it's got its own kind of thing going on, but like it's less and less what it is supposed to be, or it's less and less what people go there for, and more just like, oh, here's a fucking Chili's. It's people don't like it, and there's like stuff like that in Puerto Rico already without that, and so they think it's just like, well, what do we? I don't know what the point would be.
That I understand.
But I don't really know too much about it. I know on the island, there's a lot of people who are like a little frustrated with what's happening. It's just too it's getting muddled a lot, which I get. It's the same thing that I feel about like New York when things get gentrified and shit. You know what I mean? It's not about like gentrification as in like, oh, there's things that are nicer. It's just like literally like the mom and pop like restaurants are gone, and
that sucks.
And that it's depressing. When you go to like New York City and you're used to like, oh, these are all these places, and then like it's all like, oh, here's a fucking Wendy's.
Yeah, it saps
the combination. Culture. It's a combination A&W and KFC. Are you excited?
It's like, yeah, that's a great.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you tore down the Pyramid Club to put up a fucking KFC. Great.
Yeah, it's a culture
in New York
drain.
City, as if fried chicken is like a New York City staple in the first place. Get the fuck out of here.
I know that is weird.
That sucks. That totally sucks.
We've gone off on a tangent.
No, tangents are good. I was going to continue on the tangent by just saying, have you guys heard anything about these? Obviously we have a lot of consternation with Canada right now. I've talked about how I feel really bad about that. I think it's completely insane. But nonetheless, there's this movement, I guess, in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, somewhere in there to leave and join the United States. And
is that right?
Yeah. And I don't think it's like a very serious thing, but as I understand, those provinces have sent like delegations to the United States and stuff like that. And they are the provinces that voted conservative in the last election that elected Mark Carney or whatever.
That does make sense.
I've said this before. I like the idea of a voluntary republic like that, where it's like a global thing where the United States could become like a global republic where countries can, or pieces of countries can just voluntarily vote to join, and we ratify their joining the United States. That would be awesome. But not something like Puerto Rico, where it's like, well, we kind of have a territory. You have some rights, but not all rights. You can't really vote. We just kind of contain you, And I'm like, I'm not really into that because that seems involuntary. Imagine that, like a truly small d democratic voluntary like join republic that is like all about peace and prosperity. Wouldn't that be cool?
Just thinking about the Canada thing, like that's a very pretty section of the country, but don't we want Toronto, Montreal, and possibly Vancouver? Like,
not if you're a conservative voter, you don't.
Well, there's no conservative voters in those places.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
hence the vote.
That's why I think the 51st state thing is so stupid. I'm like, we would have this California-sized behemoth, and I mean population-wise, of just new liberal voters. And for some reason, the Republicans wanted to do. It's like, what?
It's because
that would they would get like 70 seats in the House. Like.
It's because everybody is stupid now.
Yeah,
and no one knows how to read, and no one understands anything. Everything's fucked.
It's like, that's a great idea.
We talked about it on Sacred Symbols a little bit, right? About the what is it? Oh my God, the people in colleges using AI to do.
Like how they don't do their assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is a big thing.
I mean,
is anybody surprised though?
No, it's obviously reflected in like just the general discourse. Like obviously people are stupider than they've ever been.
They definitely are.
I bet a caveman could be taught like advanced algebra quicker than some of the people on Twitter can be taught how to read something properly.
It's
truly insane.
The retardation is like, I don't know if it's the microplastics. I don't know if it's
everything.
The fucking global warming or, it's crazy.
The plastic can't be great.
No,
I will say
the plastic's in the balls though, not the brain.
Oh.
Well, it's in both.
Yeah.
Apparently there's like enough. Dude, I read this thing and I don't know how true it is, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. Where it's just like there's theoretically enough plastic in your brain to make like a small plastic spoon.
Oh,
like if you were born like in the last like couple of years, which is fucking insane.
What?
The one thing that deflated me, Chris, that I read was, and I actually saw a video on this, so it was really interesting. Where it's like, it's so ubiquitous now, plastic, that there's nothing you can really do about it. And they were giving all these different examples of people trying to go off the grid or grow their own things and do this and that, and then like how it doesn't matter because it gets into this and this and this, and it's here and it's in the rain and it's in the rain. It's like totally, it's crazy.
It's a part of the chemical makeup of the planet now.
But I will say this, as long as we don't find out anything crazy about plastic, which we haven't yet. I mean, it's not great for you and stuff, but it's not this deadly thing. Plastic has been probably one of the greatest inventions in America. I mean, it is one of the greatest inventions in American history. I mean that with no.
Yeah, it is.
Like I know that it's like it's not ideal to have plastic. It can cause this, and this, but it's not killing us like actively right now.
Not yet.
It's been this amazing invention, all from oil, by the way. It's anyway, whatever.
Microplastics and moms. Yeah,
my mom was like a punk band. That's awesome. Microplastic.
My mom was she's also like this she's always checking up on me too, like she texted me the other day. Wait, hold on, let me read it. It was so funny because I called her afterwards and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, texting moms, there's a lot of inadvertent comedy there.
So she goes blue rain in California and Texas. High doses of iron.
That's the whole thing. That's how it's started.
That's the entire section. And then I called her. I was like, "Mom, what are you saying?" It's like they're saying that there's like blue rain in California. And I was like, maybe I don't know. What does that mean? Also, and then I started to think about like how would you even know what color rain is unless you were collecting it? I guess.
Yeah. Right.
And I love
the text you get. I don't know if this is when you get to a certain age. You get a text that's like totally out of left field with the assumption
always.
You know what they're talking about.
100%.
Totally. No intro, no preamble. Helene does it all the time. Like she'll start telling the story like in the middle. Because there's a conciseness, there's just like an efficiency. And I'm like, so you can back up. Like you just wasted an extra 30 seconds because now you got to give me some context. Yeah, that's a mom text. Very on brand.
Yeah, like I had no cut. This is in the middle of, like she called in the middle of me recording too. And she knows what.
She knows what days you.
What's so funny about it is that like I don't think she cares to even acknowledge what a time zone is. I think she understands intellectually like there is a difference in the hours, but like she has no idea forward or back because like everywhere that she's ever lived or experienced is Puerto Rico, New York, Connecticut, Florida. It's all like even Virginia where our family is. It's all in the same time zone.
Yeah.
So she's never had to think about anything like that. And so she'll call me at like it'll be 7 a.m. and I'll be like, "Hi, Mom," and she's like, "What? Are you just waking up?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm 3 hours earlier."
Knowledge.
She's like, "Oh yeah, 3 hours earlier. I forget." She forgets every time.
I didn't realize Puerto Rican's in the Eastern time zone. Puerto
I'm
Rico,
pretty sure it is. Like, I could be
you're right.
That makes sense.
I think you're right.
I could be mistaken, but assuming that I'm not, it's like even if it was a time zone away, it's still like close enough that like the time difference wouldn't matter so drastically. To the point where like
below Florida, of course, that would be obvious.
It's a little to the west, I think, but it's not.
So
enough
I mean, into the like towards the Gulf. So it's.
I thought it was
definitely
looking at a map.
Yeah, it's definitely in the Eastern time zone.
It's been a while since I've seen a map.
An hour. It can't even be an hour off. Yeah, no, it wouldn't be. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm looking. All right.
But no, she's very funny. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have them in my life. They're hilarious. Both of them. My mom and dad both together are hilarious, but. My mom's very funny. She's very helpful. She's very sweet. She's unreasonably kind. That's what bothers me because I just feel like it's like
it's taken advantage of.
No, not even necessarily. It's just that like, I mean, for sure she used to, I think, but it's more just like it just sets up a crazy example where like I don't know if I could meet this really. You're too understanding. And I feel like I've adopted a lot of that, to be fair. Like I think I am like very like a forgiving person because of that or whatever. But like I do think it's like to a degree where it's just like I'm jealous that I can't meet that standard in some way. But yeah, no, but my mom's great.
That may come with age too. You know,
maybe.
Yeah, I think so. You're still really young compared to your mom. You know, Chris, there's one thing I'm jealous of before I hand this over to Kyle is that. And I have no perspective on this, and I've always envied it because my parents got divorced when I was a teenager. So I didn't grow into adulthood with parents that were together, and I always wondered how that would be. And for Dustin, too, same thing. You guys have parents as adults now. You've reached adulthood. Your parents are still together. For some reason, the odd friend or family member that I have that's in the same situation as you guys all share the same sentiment. Like I'm thinking about Helene specifically. My in-laws are still together. They've been married for like 55 years, right? But the sentiment from the kids, from Helene and her sisters are, I have no idea how they stayed together. Like it was, it was turbulent at times and it's a mirror, you know, it's like damn short, just short of a miracle that they're together. How is your parents, if it's not prying too much, how is your parents' marriage now that they're older? And Dust, same for you. Like, the fact that they're together, I feel like you make it past a certain threshold as a couple and you should be home free, but that's not always the case. So I'm just wondering what that's like.
Yeah, I don't really, I never really perceived there to be too much tension growing up. I think there's probably like a little bit more tension now because they're opposite political people, like genuinely like complete opposites.
So interesting.
And it's literally never been a problem.
They've always been like that.
Yeah, they've always been that way. Like my mom was always, and I think it's one of the things that I think gave me like a really good perspective of like, what are the, like, I just kind of feel like I see a lot of the points that people make and I kind of understand where people come from. And I think it's given me like a good barometer or like a good sense of balance growing up in a house like that, where like my mom was very, very liberal, very, emotional, very caring for people. And my dad was like more matter of fact, more conservative, more like, and it's not really ever been an issue in my life or there. Like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they're still together just based on how things are now, just with the world.
Yeah.
But it seems fine. And so it's, that's fascinating to me. But I will say, like, there is something about it. them being together for so long that I think puts a degree of pressure on me where like I feel like fuck, I can't. If I get divorced, that's embarrassing. You know what I mean? Because I feel like in some sense, like if I was the child of parents that split, it would be a lot easier for me to be like, oh well, I can figure something out.
Totally understand
in
that.
my own relationships. Like there's not like this bar to reach in some sense where it's just like they've been together for Jesus Christ since early 80s.
Wow. So
like it's a fucking crazy amount of time.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I'm like, I don't know how, like, and I think in my own relationships, I look at that, it's like, man, can I meet that with this person? And then I always like started thinking like, oh no, that's going to bother. Oh my God, she doesn't the dishes are all fucked. Could I deal with this for 40 years, 50 years? I don't know. So I don't know. It's not that serious. I'm partially joking, but they've been together for a long time. They've stayed together for a long time. I don't foresee that changing.
40 something years now, right? Yeah.
It's an absurd amount of time. It's so long that I don't even know the exact amount of time. Like, because it's a given kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they've been together for a long time. They will be together for a long time. It almost doesn't matter to me, like when it even happened in the first place.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting times now. I'm curious if the tumultuousness of the day will have any impact. It doesn't seem to have, but like,
I love that mutual respect though, where you could be on different sides of the political spectrum and just respect each other's opinion. That's the way it should be.
Well, yeah.
That's really the way it should be. And
it does give me like a window into how these things are broadly, because I do think my mom is more open to new information and is more receptive to the things I say. And then my dad is, and my dad is very much like, he kind of just thinks everything's funny, which is awesome.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah,
very refreshing.
He's hysterical. But yeah, that's all. I don't know if I have really much else to say about that. But.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's really cool. Dustin, what about for you? I mean, is that the sentiment of like, your parents always seem to get along really well. I've been around them as a couple several times, but I always wondered about that because it does seem like everybody who I'm really close to is like, oh, it's damn near a miracle. I don't know how the hell they stayed together after all these years. And it's not an inevitability either. Like you could be together 35 years and still get divorced. It's odd to me, but it could still happen.
Right. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that my parents would maybe saw my parents fight like maybe 2 or 3 times growing up. And it was never like a big blowout, like yelling match. It's like an argument or something there or something like that. To my understanding, the only time that my parents' relationship was in jeopardy was before they were married. Like the short amount of time after I was born, that 4-year period before they got married. But after that, they've never, it's actually kind of crazy that I've never felt like that was in danger at all. And I think there is something that like Holly and I were talking about this, that I think the statistic is that like once you hit 7 years of marriage, like it's the statistic of you getting divorced is very low. And at that point, if there is a divorce, it's probably because someone cheats at that point. So
the 7-year itch, that's what they call it. Yeah.
At that point. But yeah, no, they've been it's cool. They've been a good model for me of seeing what marriage looks like and how you treat each other. And in the Christian circles, it's like the love and respect of how the dynamic between a husband and wife. And I don't know. It's not, I guess it's not terribly interesting comment, but it's one that I'm very thankful is the case.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, it's super cool to have that even as a kid, not your age now because you're a full blown adult, but like to have that security as a little kid and that peace of mind as a child, have that foundation of like your parents having a strong marriage. I mean, ours did too. Ours, I mean, Colin was really a baby, but my parents they never fought until I was like 15. And then things, if in retrospect, I didn't even realize what was going on at the time. It started to slowly unravel. Like the fights ramped up, the bickering became like, there was a couple of definitely like knockdown drag outs. And then it was like, 15, 16, it was getting a little worse.
Do you remember any of those specifically? Like, I don't
remember.
I do.
Yeah. Because they really, our mom and dad never fought. I mean, I don't remember them fighting for the first 14, 15 years of my life at all. Like, they were best friends. They were pals. There was a very playful dynamic. They spent as much time together as they could. Like, there was really like a genuine affection there, and a silliness. And they had that, I always talk about that Bert Ernie dynamic where my mom was really goofy and silly and my dad was more serious and he was the butt of the jokes. But, it was kind of like that Dean and Jerry dynamic, it just kind of worked. And then I remember when the fights started happening, it was odd that they were even arguing at all. And then it started to intensify. I remember being 15, listening to them go at it at the top of the stairs. Like, I was at the top. I wasn't a baby. I was 15 years old, mind you, but it was upsetting, I guess, that they were like yelling at the top of their lungs at each other. So I'm listening from upstairs, trying not to be heard and seen or whatever. And that's my first memory of like, all right, again, not even realizing this is the beginning of the end or anything like that. But I can remember that as like a touchstone of, okay, something's happening that's different. There's a tension now that just got worse and worse. It just built from that moment. But it was a real shift from what had come before, which was like people that just got along, famously, which is interesting. So Kyle, I figure you're going to talk about BA, but you can talk about moms in any way you like.
Hot moms. No, yeah, I we've talked about a mom a lot on Knockback, and
we have,
and dad, and I have a very complex relationship with mom, in my opinion, that is in some ways straightforward in that it's a mother and like her youngest son, and the mother-son thing I think is a really, like, it's real in some sense.
Real. It's real.
And fathers and daughters, I think there's like something real to that too. Not that I would know that firsthand, of course, but just observing that with, Dad and Allie, for instance. And I feel like everything that I feel about our mom, for instance, just like our mom, because I have things to say about moms generally and some moms in my life that were important to me, but everything kind of blurs back towards mom being a really amazing person. And she is. Our mom is a truly amazing person. I think a lot of people love their moms and feel that way about their moms. So it's nothing surprising. I think where things get complex is about the way I feel about the past and the things that I was I've said this before, like just the things that I was subjected to, the situations that I had no control over, the experiences that I missed, the things that I can't relate to. And it's not that I got over those things. It's that as an adult, after processing it and dealing with it and being so far away from everyone for so long, where you wouldn't see anyone and you would just think about things from afar and distance yourself from situations. It's like, the reality is that it was what it was. I think things would have been done differently if we could all go back and try again. But I wouldn't want to change anything because it brought me to this position. But I am full of a lot of resentment. It's just that my love and caring for our mom, it just overrides that. And I'm not going to like beat up a 60 or 70, 75-year-old woman over things anymore. Like, we all dealt with the divorce, all four of us, in a different way. And I think it took Allie and I the longest to come to terms with it because we were the youngest. And it affected our lives, I think, inverse to our ages. So my life was by far the most affected and yours was by far the least affected. And the girls are somewhere in the middle. And the catalyst of a lot of those changes was our mom. And it's hard for me to let that go. Like, I wish I had I don't have the fond memories that Dagan really has because our memories were different. And I have fond memories of being with mom, but it was a situation that was not ideal. the thing that I think mom really proved to me over time and the reason why I came to terms with it and really like embraced our relationship as I got older, and I've always been a mama's boy, like hardcore, but like as I became aware of things, like embracing things, because it's important to note that like in the moment when all this was happening, I was never mad at mom. I had a great relationship with my mom when I was a kid. It wasn't until I was older where I was like, wait, why did you do these things? Like why was I in this situation? Why did you blow this up? And all those kinds of things that you can only really deal with when you're an adult. And it's complex because it's intrinsically tied with someone that you actually love more and would do anything for. But then you're like, but why did you do that? And I'll never let that go. It's just a matter of priority, right? Like nothing can be done about it anymore. It was the 90s. It was the early 90s.
Yeah.
They weren't even born. These guys weren't even born when all this was going on.
Isn't that crazy? Makes me feel so old.
But you'd never let it go. Well, at least I haven't. And I know the girls haven't. And I like, so I love mom. Like she's my biggest champion, my biggest fan. She's always been there for me. I just wish, I don't want to affect the butterfly effect and where things got. I just wish that I had parents that were together. I wish I really understood what that was like, and I don't, and it's why I think I became so isolated as an adult and it really started in college as people weren't listening to me then because I was just writing, but people have probably heard me talk about it in the past. Is like, I really just stopped even going home for holidays. Like as soon as I was free and not tethered to this, like 2 Christmases, 2 New Year's, got to travel between this and this, got to go here and here, got to please this person and this person, got to make sure everyone's happy. And it's like, when I became an adult in college, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then that kind of turned into like some sort of resentment, which I think is somewhat reasonable. But, so that's like the dichotomy of like my mom to me is like our mom is like both my very favorite person in the world who I love and have a great relationship with. And I've never had like active beef with mom. She would never let things get to that point anyway,
No, she definitely wouldn't. No.
But at the same time, it's like, being totally honest, it's like, there's a lot in me. I have a lot of feelings about it. And and they'll go unresolved because there's nothing that can really be done about it at this point. Other than I think, and I've said this before and people have gotten mad about it on Constellation, but it's like, I think divorce is a truly serious thing that is a heinous thing to do to a child. And you should really figure it out. It's not like once you bring a kid into the world, like it's not about you anymore. And if you're saying like, oh, it would be so much worse for the kid for us to stay together, then you're making it about you again. Get it? So like, think about all of the casualties that come from that and the opportunities and the experiences that are robbed from people. And since my siblings are so much older than me, it's like we grew up in different worlds.
Yeah. That 10, almost 11 years is a big difference.
Dagan was born in 73, Dana 75, Allie 79. I didn't come till 84. So
right.
There's like a whole, when people talk about this, and this, it's like, I get it because I was there, but I was 7 when it was over.
Sure.
Not 17, not 15. Anyway.
I appreciate that honesty though, Kyle. Yeah. I have to say, and it is complicated, and I can't relate to not growing. Like you were so little when mom and dad split and, my heart always bled for you for that.
It really I remember, Dagan, like it ruined my life when I was in
elementary
school.
That's hard. I mean, like you were a baby. Like Chris was saying, like he had a good run. I was saying a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to die in my 50s. That's a good run. Like I had 17 years of my parents being together. That's a pretty good run. I mean, I would take that over a lot of scenarios.
Yeah, it would be almost, I mean, I don't want to say it's irrelevant at that point, but it's like you got most of what you're going to get out of your parents at that point.
Yeah, I was a junior in high school.
I look back at myself at that and I was like, damn, dude, I do think that intrinsic, like that changed me forever. Like, I do think that like my personality was on a different trajectory. And I think people that, how do you know a second grader really? But like, I do feel like a lot of I became anxious. Yeah, I became obsessive.
Sure.
I became totally stuck in these spaces, you know? And I'm like, yeah, that really, so I get mad when people just flippantly talk about divorce and the kids will go here and the kids will go there. It's like, you are fucking up so bad, man. You don't even know. And I'm sick of people making excuses for it.
Well, dude, especially the age. I think 7 is probably the worst age for destabilizing shit to happen. I say that from experience as well, where like you're just old enough to really kind of understand things, but not old enough to really have gotten anything. It's a very weird age. Like I feel like you can almost get divorced at 3.
Yeah,
you know,
you have no memory.
And it's like it's probably like fucking whatever. Like who cares? Or like or you get divorced at like 15. I mean, that sucks. But again, that's like still like you've got something.
Yeah.
But like 7 is just like there's like this resentment of like, damn, like I didn't even get to really be cognizant for a lot of this stuff. And it's over before it even begins. And you're at this point where you're starting to acclimate to the life that you have, where like you're kind of piecing together, oh, this is what life is. And then immediately for it to be just completely shattered. Yeah. It's a terrible
very
fucking
tender age. Yeah, very tender. The most tender age. I agree with Chris. 6, 7.
And I do think it will absolutely, like, even if it's like menial shit in comparison to like some of the more drastic shit that could happen, like 7 years old is just a bad time to go through anything like that. Yeah. I think it is genuine. I have that feeling too sometimes when I think about like some of the shit that I went through when I was 7 years old, and I think about like, damn, there is like, I wonder, and I don't know if you feel this way too, Colin, although it's like we're talking about different situations, but like
you're talking about your sister's passing.
Yeah. And I wonder if you feel like, I wonder who I would have been, or like it almost feels like I didn't get the chance to be who I would have been uninterrupted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's like it's almost like you're in mourning for like a version of yourself that like died before you even got a chance to really meet him.
That's exactly right. And you don't, but at least for me, I think we're all ignorant at 7, obviously, but it's like, I was really destroyed by it, but then acclimated very quickly to it. For all of I was totally ignorant of the realities of it and leaned into the upside of it, not realizing what I was missing until I was older. And actually being in this neighborhood that I'm in now, you know, upper middle class, I guess, kind of like families playing, you know, nuclear families with their kids and the very involved parents, and they're doing this and they're doing that. Like, I chose to live here and I love it here, but it's like, it's also in my face all the time and like brings it up in my mind all the time where I'm like, look at these people. Like, I not everyone's perfect. The people 2 doors down that like built the house 2 doors down for me got divorced and sold the house. Right. So like not everything works, obviously. And they had a young kid too. And it's like, I think about that. I'm like, man, it sucks.
It's very difficult.
It's difficult for me to see because I know that even if you have it good, and I had it good, my parents were good to me. Our parents were good to me. I went to great schools and like played hockey, and my parents tried, especially my mom, tried to make it up to me and did in a lot of different ways. People have it so much worse, and I still know how deeply affected I am about it. So in something more dysfunctional, and there was deep dysfunction in the situations, don't get me wrong, but we probably had it pretty good comparable to things like so I just think about that with young. I feel for young kids with divorce, because it's like, man, yeah, really, you go through it as you get older.
Ooh, it's gotta be so hard.
And but again, I know people are gonna laugh about this. It's like, I'm not trying to beat up our mother at all. It's like, I'm trying to talk about the complexity of my feelings towards a person. You know, I would take a bullet for mom. That's like the entire thing. Like, I love mom to death, but I'm always going to be confounded and bummed. And it's exactly what you said, Chris. It's like, that life was aborted for me. Right. And all I have are phantoms of it. And I still think about it every day, which is the weirdest part. Not like actively where I'm sitting ruminating about it. Like, springtime really reminds me of it, because my mom and I used to like go around our old house and like watch the flowers come in, and I remember the order that the flowers used to come in. The azaleas, like the white azaleas, would come in last, and you get like the pink and the purple ones first, and then the pink and the red. And it's like, so like little things like that. But before we go, I wanted to the next topic. I wanted to give a shout out to other moms. I had a great relationship with a few moms over time. Whoa,
Oh.
And I want to give friends' moms that were really good to me. And what I realize about that situation and these situations, but one in particular, is again, older people seeing what you yet cannot see about yourself, which is that you need a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that took care of me. And I especially want to give a shout out to Mike Pope's mom, Flo. Mike Pope's my best friend growing up. He grew up across the street from me. And I only thought about it. I knew at the time, and I knew as an adult, but the more I think about it, it's damn, they really, and his dad too, but who I was very close to as well, Skip, took me in when I was in high school, especially when mom was up in New England at Northeastern, and I was on Long Island, and dad was just working and doing his thing. And I'm really grateful for them. I'm grateful for the surrogate moms that feed you and bring you places and help you out. And I have very specific memories, some of which I've talked about in past conversations, I suppose, but things that a mom would do for you. And I always just, and Flo doing those things for me. And I remember when Mike and I graduated high school, so this was in the spring of 2002, you get your little cloak, gown. And I was just taking mine out of the package that I got it, and it was all wrinkled and fucked up. And she we were kind of late because she went in and ironed it for me. She's like, you can't go like this. But I remember them also basically I ate dinner there, no joke, hundreds of times. And that's serious money. And investment. And I got to the point where I would just go, and you could see people being uncomfortable with this and not really being into it, but not saying anything. But it wasn't like that. It was I would just go into their house and hang out. See if Mike was home. If not, I would just hang out with them.
You didn't have to knock or anything like that. You just walk in.
And I've reflected many times that when I was a young Jets fan, because I became a Jets fan, we don't really have football fandom in my family. Our uncle's really into it, but I picked up football from friends of mine in high school and really, really fell in love with it. And Skip, Mike's dad, was the person I used to watch Jets games with. And I watched scores of Jets games with him. I would just sit there and watch football with him all day. Mike wouldn't even be around. Sometimes he'd be at work or with his girlfriend. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to stay here and hang out. And then when I was in college and I came home for a couple of summers, I worked at a land trust that his mother worked at, and she got me a job, and we would go to work together because I would just walk across the street and go and get in the car at 8 a.m. and go with her.
That's
and then
right.
we'd have lunch together, and they were really sweet people.
If Skip's dad was a Giants fan, Col, could have went that way.
Right. Exactly. It's funny, right? How these random people touch you in different ways, and touch your life in different ways. And so I'm grateful for a few moms out there that really treated me with a lot of love and care and respect at a time when I really needed it. But I have to give a shout out to them because I didn't have mom really around in high school, especially she wasn't around really. So I needed that in some sense. And I think it was cool that someone kind of identified that. And the thing I want to say in parting, and I probably should have led with this, but whatever, is I just wish we lived in a society that cared more about moms and that we could untether ourselves from this 2-job nuclear family necessity. Women should be able to do whatever they want. I mean, I have no problem with that at all, obviously. But moms should be home with their kids if they can be. Or dads. Someone should be home with the kids, right? And someone should work. And capitalism and and the runaway effects of capitalism are what brought us to this point.
Mm-hmm.
No one loves 2 parents in a household working and you sending your kids to fucking daycare than corporations, because they want that productivity. But we didn't think about what it did to family units and how it strained and stressed them. And there's no doubt that it was my mom going to work in the 80s that started to strain their marriage.
I think that definitely played a huge part.
And when Dagan was a kid, growing all the way up, our mom was a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was born and a little after that she started going to work, when I was a toddler, maybe.
Yeah, I was 14.
And
15 maybe.
And I'm like, yeah, there's no doubt that there's that's intertwined. So I am not that much of a traditionalist, but I want to say that because I don't believe it's you got to do what you got to do, but it's no, the way it should be is that someone should work and someone should take care of the kids, and this unit should work together in a cohesive way. And it's our rampant need for fucking material goods and this out of control cost of living and all of these mega corporations and all of this that shove this fucking unnatural shit down our throats and split families apart and wedge them apart. And I think it's crazy that we haven't realized that there's a relationship between these two things. But
huge relationship. You should have the choice. You should be given the choice. If you want to both have careers and that's important, whether you have a family or not, you should have the option. But there really is no option.
It used to be a choice. That's the thing.
Yes.
It's like it used to like, dude, it's so, I think about it's so funny when I think about like people, like, I don't even know how many decades ago would be like, yeah, I'm the only guy working, and I've got a secret family in the next town. You know, like, bro, how the fuck could you possibly afford a secret family on one salary? It's actually insane when you look back at that shit. But like,
it was
rampant. I totally agree. Like, I think that is the best unit, and I think it's just not feasible now. Like, you don't even have that choice.
It's really not.
If you're going to get married now, like, it's like you both have to be working. Like, because otherwise, it's like, what the fuck are you? Like, unless unless you're in like this one in a million situation where you're just like, you know, you're a millionaire already,
right?
But
yeah, I hate
people have to be working.
I hate
and
that
sucks.
Society has and all of the powers that be have tricked us into thinking that it's progress, and it's not progress. And the progress is, like you said, giving someone the choice.
The choice. Yeah.
The choice.
But I truly believe that if people really had the choice, right? And this is what we're saying, like, a mother's going to have a child and then really choose to go back to work. Really?
Yeah.
Like, all things being equal, that's the choice that they're going to make. Really? Or is it a choice? In quotes.
Yeah.
And
Helene wouldn't have worked. I could tell you that.
Of course not, dude. Most moms would never work. You see these videos sometimes of these moms crying because they have to send their 3-month-old to daycare because they have to go back to work. It's like, this is totally unnatural and fucking crazy. Yeah.
I actually think my mom would have worked. I think my mom, especially back then, she was crazy. But
that's okay. But Colin and I.
But the thing is, it's like, it would be great to only need one of them to work.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because then it would be like truly a choice. And dude, oh my God.
Takes all the pressure off.
Dude, let me tell you something. If I met some woman who was like working and she was like, yeah, I got like a fucking, I'm set. I'd be like, I will gladly stay at home.
It's pretty attractive.
I would love to be stay-at-home dad. There would be no problem with that for me at all. But
that's the thing. It could be the stay-at-home dad too. It should just be someone. Like, someone should be tending to your family unit, to your reality at home, and to like taking care of the errands and doing all that. Someone should be bringing the income in, and it should be a cyclical beauty to it that just works. But everyone's got to keep up with the Joneses, and it costs, $75 to fill up your gas tank. And
oh, dude, it's insane.
Yeah,
the cost of living is actually insane.
There's also kind of the underlying part of it too, which is like, because the cost of living is so high, and because like you have like these rents shoot up all the time to unbelievable degree. Nobody stays in one place long enough to actually build a community.
Communities, yeah.
And that's like that. I don't know. Like, even when I was a kid, granted, both my parents were working, and so I was home a lot with like my aunt who lived upstairs, or like I would be at my aunt's in the Bronx, who lived like right next door to my grandmother. So like, I would be passed around a lot, and even like, in our building, we would have that old lady Rose would kind of watch me sometimes, and like we'd have somebody upstairs to watch me. That was back when people would stay in a building for a long time. You know, now it feels like, I feel like younger people now don't really have the option to really stay in one place for a long time. It's usually like, oh, they raised my rent $700, gotta go, or like,
it's insane.
And nobody stays around long enough to even if they were in the situation where like, all right, we have kids, we're both working. There's no community in the building, to even facilitate that. And that used to be a really common thing. Even I feel like even I got it way later than was typical, like in the 90s and the early 2000s. But like it takes a village kind of thing, where it's like, I think that's true, but we've got to establish a fucking village first.
It's lost.
And everybody's checkering around because God forbid a studio apartment is affordable.
Yeah, because everyone's mice
Crazy.
on wheels. I'm so sick of the way rampant capitalism has broken society.
But let me ask you guys, where's the ceiling? When do we reach critical mass on this? When does it hit an explosion point so it could reverse? Right?
I don't know.
Is it?
I don't think
does it ever happen?
Maybe the one thing that could, like AI obviously has a lot of upside, but because it's going to destroy job markets, maybe it will force people more into nuclear situations, multi-generational situations, whatever, like a more naturalistic way of living.
That's interesting.
The way we live now is not normal. Whether or not we want it's the new normal, but it's like a millisecond in the time in human history of the way we live now. I don't know. I know what I'm saying sounds very like conservative, but it's not even meant to be that way. It's like out of fear for rampant consumerism, you know, and splitting up of bonds and like what it does to people, and knowing that I was victim to that. I know, like, it's obvious that like things changed because of that. So anyway, moms.
And but you know what though? It does come full circle back to moms, because if you could still be that mom, right? That level of mom we're celebrating. And by the way, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. You know, where, you know, I watch a woman every day, and I have a great wife, but, you know, and I know I love her, so I'm biased, but this is a person who juggles a career, a side business that she runs all herself, being a mom, being a wife, being all the things, being there emotionally for everybody. Like the juggling, that's what I'm talking about, where it's like, it's almost magical. You know, and I think, again, like being a great dad, I know a lot of great dads. I like to fancy myself as a great dad, but there's something just extra special about being that level of mom, especially in our current times. It's hard. And I'm not just talking about like people that have kids that are still in school like me. I'm talking about generationally. It's tough, you know, it's hard. Whether you're a grandma now, it's still hard. You know, so, and I love what Chris said before too, about like your parents sort of setting the bar inadvertently, you know, for whether you stay together, whether you get divorced, how much pressure is on you. I could say, I think our parents were together for 19 years. You know, me and Helene already exceeded them by 4 or 5 years. And you know what though? It doesn't make me feel, if it makes me feel anyway, it makes me feel a little bad about it. Like I feel sad about that. You know, because I'm like 23 years, like, yeah, I'm in a great situation. I'm blessed. But wow, like, you know, you made it, like Dustin was saying, the 7-year itch. It's like 19 years, and there's no hard and fast rule. You could go 19 years and raise 4 kids and build your dream house, and everything could still fall apart. It's sad. You know what I mean? But just that whole thing of like, now it's even harder. So, you know, so being a good mom, man, shout out to the moms. Unbelievable. All right. You guys satisfied?
Yep.
I'm satisfied. Yeah. All right. So, Dust, I think looking at the topics, I'm going to stick you in the middle here, my friend, with your topic next.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, my topic, lazy, because it was suggested to me by, I believe it was our Constellation historian, James Solar, in our Discord, was said that he would like to see this as a topic. And I thought, that's fantastic. I will use that. And it's worst experiences at jobs. So in my email to you guys, I was saying, I'm not looking for like, oh, this was a bad job as a whole. I'm curious about situations jobs has put you that you've been put in that are just terrible. So I'll start. I have a few. One of them is at my old job. So a lot of the audience knows, you guys know, I used to do video production work. But we would do, me and my boss, because it was just me and my boss, very, very small company. There was a guy he knew that we would do IT work for on the side. And it was a pretty good gig because it was just like as needed, $25 an hour. And for me at the time, I'm like, man, this is great. And normally it was like pretty, I mean, boring and monotonous stuff, but it was like, okay, we're going to this company today and we're updating all of their computers to Windows 7 or something. I don't know, something like that. So then we would go, and it was like not the greatest, because you could tell like this person eats at their desk for lunch because it is fucking vile, their keyboard or something, but nothing too bad. One of them, we were doing a wiring job that was in, I'm trying to remember, it was some kind of large factory. And so this wire needed to be run across the ceiling of the factory. So we were provided, is it called a scissor lift? Kind of like the, you go all the way up. So I'm on top of this fucking scissor lift all the way up in a warehouse. And we realize as we get to the top that it is not tall enough, not quite tall enough. And by the way, this thing is extended all the way to the point where it is wobbling. And so my boss is like, oh, we're going to need to use a ladder. I'm like, what do you mean? Like he's like, no, a ladder on top of this, like on top of the scissor lift.
That's not.
So he props up this ladder at the very top of a scissor lift. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I am not getting on this ladder. It's already amazing that I am on. And I don't have like a crazy fear of heights, but it's like, I just don't think that a ladder that goes beyond above the safety rails of this scissor lift, I don't think that my life is worth this $25 an hour.
Yeah.
So I ended up holding the ladder for him. But I was still freaked out that I'm like, if I sneeze or if he sneezes, he's just going to fucking die in this moment. So,
shit.
Another wiring job we had to do was we were in a hotel. It was like a Holiday Inn Express or something. And our job was to update all of the TVs, like the wiring of the TVs. But the problem was the hotel, they're not going to shut down for a day to have us go in and wire all this. So we started with all the empty rooms. And then it gets to be like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And they're like, no, we're trying to get this job done today. So it's my job then to go through this hotel and knock on everyone's door and ask them to let me in to go and wire this thing. And then the other amazing part is they're like, oh, if you knock and no one answers, use the master key to go in. The amount of stress that this caused me as someone who's already like, I don't want to talk to anybody that I don't know, don't want to call anybody, to knock on everyone's door.
It's awful.
Thankfully, I did not walk in on anybody naked or having sex or anything. I mean, it's honestly a miracle. But I definitely did walk in onto people that were just like, what the fuck? Why are you coming into my hotel room? So that was no good either. Just like, why? What am I doing at this point? And then overall, working at the speakeasy as a bartender wasn't too bad, but you did deal with people every once in a while that was like, oh, you just want to curl up and just stop, like just leave the place. One of the recurring things we had was, because it was a bar that had smoking in Pennsylvania, nobody under 21 was even allowed in, even if they weren't drinking or at the bar. They're just not allowed in.
Okay.
So there's a few occasions where I have, someone comes in, it's a group, and there's one guy that hasn't come up to me for a drink, but is like sitting around smoking or something. And it's like, I have to go ID them. And they're like, oh, I'm not having a drink. It's like, it doesn't matter. And dude, people just getting fucking livid at me. They're like, well, he's not having a drink. It's like, why can't you hang out here? I'm like, I didn't make the law that requires him to be 21. And I'm sorry. People are like, oh, well, I'm not leaving a tip when we leave. I'll pay the bill, but I'm leaving a tip. I'm like, dude, if somebody comes in here, like, I'm the one who's going to get in trouble,
This is Ben's speakeasy, Dust?
This is Ben's speakeasy.
Such a cool place.
Ben probably had the worst experience ever there, where I was helping him. I was helping him bartend for a night. And then when things started to die down, he's like, go ahead, go home. And there was this guy there. It's like guy that's like the type that like wouldn't shut up. He was like, oh, you guys have a YouTube channel? So do I. I'll check this out. Like, just constantly like, I think
Oh
he had
my
like
God.
just turned 21, and Ben went into the bathroom at cleanup, and this dude had just thrown up
No.
everywhere. Didn't say anything. Just left it for Ben to find. It's like,
Dude.
Yeah.
I have to share one last one, though it's not mine. It's Holly. That when we were talking about this topic, she's like, you got to tell him about this. So Holly was a waitress at this diner. This was right before we got married. And so this diner, I mean, she saw all kinds of stuff there, like just like some wild shit. But one of the craziest ones is there was a table. I don't know if she was serving them, but she was standing kind of towards the back, her and her coworker, and they're looking. And there's this couple that are, looking at each other all dreamy like. And it fucking broad daylight. It's probably fucking 2 p.m. on a Tuesday at this diner. You look under the booth and there's a foot doing some things.
Oh no!
This person's getting an over the pants foot job at Mac's Cafe in Butler, Pennsylvania.
No. How romantic!
And Holly is like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, what do you do? And so, thankfully, another server that was much more assertive was like, do not do that here. And they were very embarrassed, of course. But it's like, man, the over the hands foot job. I mean, bold. In a small way, I respect it, but mostly it's heinous.
You wouldn't expect it.
In a small way, I respect it.
Small. I mean, I respect the boldness. I guess
the boldness, yeah.
Yeah, that job, dude. I think her last day, there was like someone that like just shit all over the bathroom, and that was like Holly's last job. Was they're like clean this up, and she's like,
unceremonious,
uncertain shit everywhere.
Shout out to the waitresses, man. I don't know that job. That's got to be the toughest job. I could never do it.
She absolutely hated it. It was terrible. But so I think overall my stories are pretty mild, thankfully. But I know that most people have a few work stories where it's just like, how the fuck did I end up here?
I was hoping for a Last Stand Media story, Dust.
I don't. I'm trying to think what my worst experience is working for Last Stand Media.
The grueling work conditions.
I feel like the only opportunity there would even be for something like that would be at the live shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all otherwise we're just kind of in our houses.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's very true.
I can think of one Last Stand Media thing, and it's not anyone's fault, but at the Butler live show. So we were up in the, I don't know, 3rd or 4th floor of that building in that ballroom.
Yeah.
And we, I'm going to blame it on Ben. Ben ordered a stage for us that we rented.
Oh, right.
And it was we had to get the stage up there. And I think that, I don't know what the assumption was. I don't know if we assumed that they were going to deliver it to the room, but it was delivered in the hallway of the 1st floor. And this was like these stage pieces were fucking heavy.
I don't remember
solid pieces. And I remember Ben telling me, he's like, I'm going to be busy like picking someone up from the airport or something. Can you and someone else get this stage set up? And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Well, I show up there and like 2 of us can barely lift one of them. Oh, and by the way, it did not fit in the elevator, each of these pieces. So there's this moment. I don't know if this was, because I think that was a Saturday night. So maybe it was like a Friday afternoon. And I was like, oh, what are we going to do? There's like 6 or 7 of these stage pieces that are like 400 pounds. How are we going to do this? Luckily, I had some people that I called in. I think we even, like, in a moment of desperation, I think we asked listeners on the Discord. They were like, if there's any strong guys that are here for the live show, can you please come help us? And so we had a couple guys come help us.
Oh, they helped? That's so cool.
Yeah, they helped us out. But
that's
it was
so
like,
funny.
Man,
that was the first live show, so it was a learning experience, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. As far as we've had times where it's just been like really busy situations where we've like got like multiple shows that we're trying to get out, people recording multiple things, but nothing that has ever put me in like a heinously awkward situation. Cause to me, that's the worst, where it's like, I can't deal with this overall, so live shows overall. I mean, I wasn't at the last live show, but I don't know. Those are relatively not stressful, I think. Other than when Chris almost didn't show up. That was stressful. Thanks, Chris.
For which show?
Was it the one in in Houston when we were like, wait, we were like, where's Chris?
Wait, did I not? What happened? I don't even remember.
You showed up the day of instead of the day before.
Oh,
do you remember?
I do
you canceled the flight. Chris doesn't remember this at all.
I do remember.
At all. Wait,
we were waiting. We're like, okay, Chris he got on his flight this morning, and that's all we know at this moment.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it didn't even register to me as anything.
I remember
Colin,
you
showed up. I showed up.
Don't you remember this? Do you remember this too?
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but not really. Like I remember that I think he changed his flight information on one or flight details or whatever for one show, but I guess that was the Houston one, so that would be 22.
It was Houston, yeah. There was a moment when we thought we wouldn't have Chris or Maddie for that show.
Oh,
and then Chris showed up and we were all like, so.
Oh, relieved. I see. Yeah, that would have been stressful. No, I don't. I wish I could remember exactly what happened. That made me switch the flag because I wouldn't normally. Damn, that's like that's barely even in my head as a memory.
When was that? 22 or 23?
22 is a while ago.
I forget.
My poster says 2023.
23.
Oh, okay.
February 24th, 2023.
Oh, February 2023. That's actually crazy.
Oh, it's February. Wow.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Damn near. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could remember exactly. I feel like I must have been like sick or something. I
think you were. I think you were sick.
That would be the only because I already have like such a bad record. Like I don't know what it is about flying or traveling, but like I always just tend to like the day of traveling, like I get like, or like the day after, or like something. Like I always get sick in some mild or serious way when I travel.
I do the same thing.
And so like I think my concern was like, fuck, man, I don't know if I want to fly right now and then make it worse. And so I think I just had to level myself out. But I think
it's not the best.
I think everything ended up fine.
Oh yeah, it ended up working out. It was fine. I remember we were like, okay, we know Chris is on the flight. We know, and then eventually, like we heard from you. It was like, oh, I'm at the airport. We're like, okay, good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Dust, I have a speakeasy question for you.
Sure.
That place was amazing. I loved it. For the night that we get, which was the same weekend as the Butler live show. But for that job, bartending, was that place strictly beer and bourbon, or did you have to make cocktails as well?
Oh, we specialized in cocktails.
Oh, so you're like a trained bartender.
No, not trained. But I mean,
how did you learn?
Well,
because that's a big thing.
I had a passive interest in making cocktails when I turned 21 and kind of just like messed around on my own.
Makes sense.
And then it's not that I wasn't trained at all. Like when Ben hired me for the job, I had a training on the cocktails that we did. But nothing we did was like crazy. It's not like we were fucking cracking and getting egg whites out for stuff like that. Like nothing crazy, just like, old fashions and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that was man, I feel so mixed thinking back on that job because I did enjoy making drinks, but I think that level of socialness to be a bartender, and a lot of times I was working there by myself, and just the stress level of like you have an entire full bar and people
that's
just like the place is packed and you are the only person there. People want refills, new people coming in. Some people want to pay to leave. And I always had this anxiety in my mind too. And this is stupid that you're trained that you're just supposed to ID people, even if they look like 40 or whatever. But it got weird for me that some people acted like offended when you asked for their ID.
That's so weird to me.
Which I'm like, I mean,
should be the opposite.
Right. Yeah. And so I would always like feel like I always hated asking people for their ID because some people acted weird about it. I'm like, why? Like, just whatever.
Yeah.
I always had this anxiety because if you get caught, like if you accidentally don't ID someone and they're like a plant or whatever from, the government or whatever, not only does the business get in major trouble, but you get in major trouble.
Yeah, it's true
as well. So it's like I was always trying to play it on the safe side. And then there was like I'd be working and there was one instance where I was really busy where I thought that it was like a new person I didn't realize. I'm like, oh no, I didn't ID that person. I probably should have. I mean, I'm 99% confident they're much older, but like what if type of situation.
Sure.
So that was always it didn't need to be stressful, but I made it stressful. So
God, you know too that like at a full bar when there's one bartender, you know that a lot of people there understand, but they're still angry.
Oh yeah,
you know, like they're still like, come on,
what am I, Mirage?
That's yeah. You can't help it. Like even I totally get it. Like that's stressful. I hated the idea of even being put in that situation, so I never really, I never sought out bartending jobs. Although I could, those were the jobs that I knew I could easily get because I knew so many people who did it.
Oh yeah,
I was like, I can't do it.
Could be really lucrative, but it's a hard job.
I thought too, like I got in my head too. It's like, am I going to be too short to reach for certain things that people are going to ask for? that was a thing that came up for me.
Top shelf. Don't ask Chris
top
for
shelf.
top
So I was
shelf.
like, don't ask me for top shelf, motherfucker. You'll get well, and that's it.
Well,
but it's funny too. 'Cause I see people like check IDs now, and I noticed this in the last couple of years where people just like, I'll hand my ID and they'll hand it back immediately, and I'll be like, oh, what's like, it's unusually fast, and it's like, oh, it's the 19.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh, that's right.
That's a
19
great point.
19 is in the clear now.
That's all I got to look at.
Yeah. It was. I always when people ID me now, I kind of go out of my way to be like, oh, no problem. Like, oh yeah, no problem at all.
I usually go like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, I say, oh, nice compliment. Something like that.
Do you? Yeah. See, I'm at the age
but I
now
very
where they
rarely
stop.
get carded. I almost never get carded.
I don't get carded anymore. And Pennsylvania's a strict state, as Dustin knows, and it's like you have to be pretty brazen to that card because you could get in personal trouble besides jeopardizing the business that you work for. So now you're old when they don't even have to question it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they see the grays in the beard, forget it. Forget it. You know, I miss the days. Let's put it that way.
My dad always, this is like his boomer joke where if we're out like getting wings and he's there with the boys and the boys get ID'd and he's like, oh, you're not going to ask me for my ID. Well, okay. You know, just like hamming it up, of course.
So you gotta ask Trav for the ID if you're doing the whole table, just out of respect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dust, which way do you want to swing this, my friend?
I'm trying to think who would have. I mean, I feel like all of you would potentially have pretty interesting work experience. Chris, let's go with you because we're relatively the same age and you've worked some retail jobs. You ever been in a wild, uncomfortable situation?
It's like, I feel like in the retail space, the most uncomfortable, like, because I worked at Sears for about a year and some odd month or something like that. I can't remember exactly the amount of time. It was like about a year though. And I remember what really fucked me up was Black Friday and working Black Friday in, I think 2012 or 2013. Although I'm more convinced it was 2012. And it was like a fucked schedule because like I was a merchandising and customer assistant here. So I would go there from 6 a.m. to basically whenever they needed me. It was usually 6 to 11:30. So it wasn't too bad. But then like some days it would be 6 to 11:30. Then there would be a 30-minute lunch break. And then you'd be there from 12 to sometimes 7. It's ridiculous.
That's a long day. And
it was absurd. I don't think it was. There's a lot of things about that job that didn't feel technically legal to be doing to people, but like whatever. I remember specifically the Black Friday I had. Oh man. So it was Thursday. On Thanksgiving Thursday, I got to work at 6 a.m. And then I had a shift from 6 a.m. to 11:30. Then I had the break. Then I was there from 12 to 5. Then I had Thanksgiving dinner with, I think, my girlfriend at the time's family. And then after that dinner, I went back for the Black Friday shift that night, that Thursday night. And I think that was like something like 9 or like something like 8. I can't remember. It was like 8, 7, 9, that kind of territory, all the way to like genuinely 5:30 in the morning. And
brutal. Absolutely
it was so
brutal.
Deeply nauseating. And it didn't feel like, I remember being here and I remember like, are they allowed to do this? Because like
the answer is no.
Yeah, like it was completely fucked up. And then what was crazy, so I got home so sick. I felt so ill. And then the next day I had another shift at the kind of the same time. And I just remember being like, and then when I got home from that shift, I remember falling asleep while driving. And I fell asleep because I barely got any sleep. It was completely fucked up.
I've done this.
And this was while I was like at school too. Like, so I had like Saturday classes and stuff. So it was all fucked. It was completely fucked up. But I remember falling asleep while driving on my way home from work. And then like hearing the car go like, because you're off on the fucking
the rumble strips.
The brambles. And I swerved back onto the road, and I like now I'm like mega awake. And then it was at that moment that I was like, I'm quitting this job. Like I can't. I am not going to fall asleep while driving and die for $7.25 an hour in a time where gas is like $4. No shot.
Right.
It was
what
ridiculous.
were you doing on the job, Chris? Were you working the cashier, like ringing people up?
So I was, Jesus Christ. I was doing everything that anybody else wouldn't be doing, basically. So if you were a salesman, you were selling. If you were a cashier, you were at the cash register. Mm-hmm. But like what we did was like, we were like, okay, you get there at 6 a.m., you put sales stickers on everything that's on sale. Oh, if there's like new things that need to be placed in certain slots in stock from the stock room, you need to do stock, you need to do inventory, you need to do price change notifications, so that everything in the system works. By the way, no chance I was doing any of that shit right. They handed me like a fucking like an iPod Touch in like a big, it was like a modified, we called it a SNCC. I don't know why. I think it stood for something, but like it was like this iPhone or like this iPod Touch that had like a scanner attachment on it. It almost looked like a lacy hard drive, kind of, you know, those things with like the orange thing. Although it was like a blue kind of rubber thing around it. Yeah. And it would have like it had the worst UI, and then like people would explain what you were doing to you like in the worst possible way. It's like, this is a price change notification. This does this, and this. And like, and I would be like, how do I know it works? And I was just like, well, we just assume it works. I was like, amazing. So like, fine, whatever. But just that Black Friday shift, and not just because I fell asleep while going home and nearly died, that convinced me to stop going. But like, just the types of people you meet working retail at Black Friday when you're already exhausted is truly like eye-opening, because it really is just the worst people that you could possibly imagine. It's people who are just like, oh, first of all, imagine going to Sears at Black Friday. Like, what the fuck are you doing? This is where you're going to go? You're not going to go to like Walmart or like even those places. I still think it's insane. But at least there's like more things to get. Like we had like a small electronics section. We had like small, like you could get a video game, I guess. But like, I don't know why you would be here. And it was like a mall Sears too. So it was like, it wasn't just an isolated Sears. It was like the whole fucking mall's open. So you have people like wandering in and out from like the food court and all sorts of shit. And I remember I remember going into the bathroom and there were two people fighting in the bathroom. I don't know why, but they were yelling at each other. I was in a stall because I needed to be isolated for like a little bit. I didn't even have to do anything. I literally didn't have to go to the bathroom. I just went to the bathroom to sit in silence for like a little bit. And then these two people came in. They were yelling at each other about like something that like, it was some marital thing, but it wasn't between the people in the bathroom. It was like, oh, you said this to my wife or something. I can't remember the specifics of it. And then it came to blows or something, and they like started hitting against the stall that I was in. I was like, oh my God, I can't get peace anywhere, dude. And I walked out with like my badge while they were fighting, and then they got like, oh, we're sorry, we'll leave. And I'm like, I don't have authority here. I just work here. You should have the wherewithal not to be fighting in a fucking public restroom without some random like 18-year-old authority figure having to convince you that was a bad idea. But I don't know. There's a couple of other, Sears had a couple of them where like a lot of bathroom oriented stuff where like somebody was, I remember walking into the bathroom once and it was as if somebody sat on the lid and just shat. Like violently. No. Like it looked like because it was like a
Jackson Pollock.
It looked ridiculous. And I walked in there and I was like, I'm going to go home. And I just, at that point, I didn't even tell nobody. I was just like, because then you know what happens when you tell people? It's like, you got to clean it up. And that's not my fucking job. That's not in my job description. For $7.25, I'm not dealing with fucking hazardous fucking material. Okay, no shot. But and there were a couple. Like I think I don't know. Sears is full of shit like that. I forgot a lot of the weirder things that happened though, because I mean this is 2012. I only worked there for a year. I remember getting so sick, working so late one time that I walked out of the double doors and they slid open and I threw up right there.
Oh, you just made it.
And then I just barely made it. And then I drove home and like I was so nauseous and I was like, I can't throw up all over my car. I'm going to be so furious if this happens. So I just took my work shirt off and threw up in my shirt while I was driving home. And then I was just like, at a certain point, I was just like, I'm going to throw this out the window.
I think I've done that move.
Like, it's just that point where I'm just like, I'm littering. Sorry. Like, I usually am pretty like I hate litter generally. But like, that was a moment where I was just like, bro,
you had no choice.
I can't have a vomit full shirt just sitting in my car. Like, I can't do it. And then I think I told the story on the show again, or a long time ago, where like this was the same day that I drove home and I was so sick and I threw up outside. I threw up in the car, and then when I got home, it was like really fucking late. It was like a.m. early morning hours, and I felt another one coming on, and I was like, for some reason, I did like a cartwheel and threw up at the same time.
What?
Because I was like, you know what? If I die at whatever point and I get to watch moments of my life over again, this might as well be one of them. I want to see how this looks from a third person perspective.
What?
I was clearly delirious as fuck. If I'm like, I'm not thinking reasonably.
Can you cartwheel?
Yeah, of course.
Oh wow, I can never.
I've never cartwheeled in my life.
Can't do it.
What do you?
I've been tried. My sister tried to teach me. My wife, my daughter eventually tried to teach me.
I feel like it's the only gymnastic type ability that's even remotely within reach for an average person. And that's the only reason I could do it, because I just thought it was easy.
Come on. You going completely vertical windmill style with the legs
I don't know how
fully extended.
Well, I can't imagine that it was particularly good. If I was throwing up at the same time, I was probably I was retching as I just thought like this will be funny for my soul to witness.
That's hilarious.
But I don't know. And the one thing from LSM was like, actually it was at a live show where like, and it was the day that me, Keekson and Derek, we did the Snark Tank before we did the opening. And then I did the show that we were doing, the main show. And that was the day that I was just so sick.
Oh, is that New York?
No, it wasn't New York. It was
Richmond. I wasn't there for that.
It was the Richmond show. And I just like, my stomach was in tatters, dude, like the whole time. And I was just like, and people in the audience know this because this is a recurring story, but like, there's parts of that show where I'm just like, there's a part in the show where I go and I pretend like I'm reacting to something that's being said, and I go like lie down and pretend like, oh my God, what a terrible thing that I've heard. And it's really just like, I need to lay down.
Right.
If I don't lay down right now, I will die.
No one caught that though.
No, I played it off, I think, relatively well. I think it was, if you know what I'm going through, it's pretty obvious what's happening. Because even in the Snark Tank panel, like the initial goal for that was like, I wanted to go around. Like I wanted to walk around the audience and like get people talking into it and like have them suggest topics. But I was like, I literally cannot move because I will shit myself and die. And die is a very important addition to that.
Very smart, actually. That's a nice way to play it off. Very professional.
It was horrible. Like I'm really frustrated with that show, honestly, because I just like I'm really bummed that like I wasn't operating at maximum capacity, and it was just such a good show. It was like such a good venue and like it was like cool, a really good audience, and it's just a missed opportunity for me that like really I think about still to this day. I'm like, man, I'm really bummed that I couldn't get as much as I wanted out of that show as I wanted to do. But
I remember during that show, like there was a few instances where like, we're talking about a game and Colin stood up and walked around, tried to be a little animated, and I did the same. And I was like, oh, Chris is just kind of chilling.
No, that's all.
But other than, I didn't know if it was like he thought you were like, oh, these guys are being a little bit much.
No, I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to be running.
You wanted to do a cartwheel while throwing up, maybe on stage,
dude. It was such a bummer, man. Yeah, but it turned out to be a good show, thankfully. I survived. Although that was a rough after. I think I didn't stay around. I think that show I went immediately home. But those are the only ones that stick out. I'm sure more will come to mind as I ruminate on it. But Sears, I've made a really strong effort to block out a lot of Sears.
Were you so happy to see that place go?
Oh, dude, it was like Christmas morning. Like it was when I went back home to that mall and I went I walked past it and I saw that it was just like boxed up and there was like nothing in there. I was like, it felt like, in Death Stranding, when you walk over, like when you conquer a mountain and then you look back and you see the mountain, you're like, yeah, I climbed it. It's over. It was like that, where I was just like, yes, that's it. It was like I was looking at the body of a dead boss.
Okay, that sounds better. The first one was was too kind.
It was really, really like, the first one was like technically beautiful in some sense.
Yeah.
But and I think before it shut down fully, or before that location shut down fully anyway, I think it was like a place where like I got my vaccine there for COVID, because it was like one of those empty, like they did like a Spirit Halloween thing for the vaccines, where like they took every empty available space and just turned it into like a makeshift hospital, basically. And I remember getting my vaccine. I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. I used to work here. I used to cry in that corner. That's hysterical. Anyway,
that's so sad, but that's very satisfying. It's a nice way to wrap it up.
To be fair, I don't think I don't think I ever cried at Sears. I don't think Sears was not that stressful. But I did
pretty
like
rough.
That was the roughest. That was the point where I was like, I'm not staying here. Like, this is crazy. It was just not a job worth risking death for, from like lack of sleep and like falling asleep. Dude, I've never fallen asleep while driving. I drove across the country on like barely any sleep, and I still did. I never fell asleep while driving.
That's
so
amazing.
Like the fact that happened just working at Sears, and it was specifically after that Black Friday. I swear it's illegal to do that, by the way. Like I something about that schedule, how they scheduled me, doesn't make sense. Humanitarian wise. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're gone.
Good riddance.
Good riddance, Sears.
Good riddance,
and every other
Sears and Roebuck.
That's
Goodbye.
right. We always forget about the Roebuck.
Yeah, I didn't, because it was on all my paperwork.
Oh, that's right. Pay stubs and all that.
They're always reminding you of Roebuck.
That son of a bitch.
That bastard Roebuck.
Let's go over to Sea Dog Millionaire over here.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, I know you worked at a deli.
Yeah.
I don't know if someone.
Yeah.
I don't know, jizz on something or.
No, I would have been the guy
like that.
jizzing on things. No, I'm the one making the things. No, I was thinking when I got this, and then email, and then I was pondering on it, and then as I've been listening to Chris specifically talk, it's like I have stories, I guess, but I kind of just never had horrible work experiences. Really, I had challenging experiences at all the jobs that I worked, but I never like hated any of my jobs, or I was grateful to have the jobs at the time too, and I fell into some pretty good situations. My first job ever on Long Island, as people know, was at a horse farm, like a horse stable. And I literally shoveled shit. That's what I did for $25 a day. And it was stupid. It was whatever. I was with my friends and it was silly. And then working at the deli, I got that job from a friend of mine, and I worked there for 2 years, and that was fine. I made $6 an hour off the books. So more than Chris was making at Sears, probably after taxes, years later. And I have funny memories of that, but there was nothing really bad happened. I had to do a lot of grunt work, but I've always been of the mind that I'll do what I need to do to make money. And I'm not above personally any work. So yeah, I scrubbed toilets and did a lot of like really tedious shit. Like I remember every, whatever it was, Wednesday after school, like my task at the deli was to go and empty the walk-in refrigerator of everything and then scrub it and clean it. And it's just like, was the most tedious thing. Then you got to put everything back, and you got to.
Wow. That's cool that they did that though. So regularly.
Yeah. I think we were always afraid. I mean, reasonably so of like the food inspectors coming in. So we did, I will say we did keep a pretty ship-shape operation.
Yeah. That's good.
Which was good. And we had this, I don't know if you remember her, dig the head like cook there that like,
I do.
was this like butch lesbian named Charlene.
Yes.
And she was
super cool.
She was awesome. And she got me like super into 50s music, which was interesting because I never really was into 50s, like like proto rock. And like Lou Christie, like that's where I picked up Lou Christie and all that weird shit that I like. And she was pretty on top of things. So yeah, that was a good experience. And then in college, I worked landscaping and groundskeeping. And again, that was a lot of grunt work and a lot of annoying shit to do, driving golf carts around a campus, like a huge city campus, trying not to get hit by cars, and not run people over, emptying garbage cans that you just emptied like 2 hours ago. And now the garbage can is like full again. And there's garbage everywhere. And that was a very humbling job in some sense, but I didn't need to really get there. It was like, I am a groundskeeper basically at a prestigious university that I attend, and the people that I attend with are watching me do this. You know, I would see people that would be like, oh, hey, no one really cared. No one was judging me. Maybe they were inside, but it wasn't, but it was like a thing that I had to kind of like quickly get over. It's like, yeah, I'm covered in garbage juice, which was the worst, right? Because a garbage bag would break or something. So that was probably the worst job or the worst tasks that I had to do, but it wasn't a bad job. Like the people were nice. They were very lenient. I used to make so much money. Like we would get, when it would snow, when it would even be, and it would always snow in Boston, but when it was in danger of snowing, they would put you on time and a half and have you on standby ready to shovel. And sometimes you would go 12 or 16 hours getting paid with doing nothing, basically.
That's beautiful.
And I would just like hang out. I would just be like at my dorm. You'd have like a, you get like a phone alert or something. I think maybe there was like actually it was a phone at the time. It was a phone chain, I think, where like you had to like call people and shit. But that wasn't so. And then I was a freelancer at IGN and an intern at IGN, and I worked at IGN, and that was a good job. I have horrible stories about that too, but again, everything's relative, right?
Right.
Like, I have horrible stories about working at IGN. I also have great stories about working there, but I'm a writer. It's not really that interesting, probably.
Yeah, you're not in like a foxhole in Vietnam or nothing.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, and then found it kind of funny. That was probably my most tumultuous professional experience, but that again played out in front of everyone. So there's nothing you really don't know about that already. And then I found myself here. So I feel like I'm not a good mark for this because I've worked real jobs. That's the thing that bothers me when I feel like people say like, oh, Colin's never worked a real job or whatever. It's like, no, I've worked real jobs, and several of different kinds of what I would consider real menial, no skill or low skill jobs. And I appreciate that because it gave me a lot of perspective, and I'm not above that kind of work if that's what is necessary. Like I'm not too proud to do anything. So, I think it all is work that needs to be done. It's honorable work or whatever. But then as I got more into like the white collar stuff, it's who cares really, about like the drama in a boardroom or in a meeting room or something. It's like, who cares? That's a whole different kind of thing. I mean,
it's a whole different torture.
And I wouldn't say I ever had any. I was just, especially at IGN, at my late at IGN, I was just so antsy and like annoyed at everything. So it's like I was ratcheted up myself, if anything.
Right.
And that's why I try to be I know how blessed I've been ultimately and how things have kind of fallen into place for me. I think I've been good with timing and hard work and all of the rest and all of this. So I'm not taking myself out of the equation, but I say that to say that I do try to have a fairly lenient working operation for other people to try to kind of parlay the kind of unworried, unflustered nature that I kind of had, of the things that I was kind of able to do, as opposed to making, like, I know I could turn the screws and like get more work and make more money and do it. It's like, I don't know. I just want everyone to kind of be happy doing their thing and not ask too much of people. And when I need something, someone's really available for me and try to treat everyone with care. And a lot of that is just parlayed from not only the way I was treated many times, because I had great people along the way treating me well, but just because I want the experience to be kind of easy and breezy if it can be. I'm a 4-day work, I believe in the 4-day, 32-hour work week.
I love it.
And we work a different kind of schedule, but none of us work 32 hours a week, I don't think, of actual work playing games, I if you count playing games, taking notes, preparing for things, I work twice that much a week. But in terms of the work that I'm doing, recording, writing, all that, it's not.
Oh, but you make a good point though.
But yeah, I play 20, 30,
hard.
40 hours a week of games at least. So there, but again, that's what I would say back when I was at IGN. It's like, yeah, it's hard work. We work a lot, but a lot of it is like by nature of it's not film or something where you can go and watch a movie and a Friday and then write a review and then go away. It's like, no, I actually have to like disappear for 2 weeks to play this game.
Yeah, it's a lot more involved. Sure.
That was a big thing at IGN. People used to quote unquote disappear. What you knew someone was not at their desk for days at a time, it was because they were at home playing something.
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
And I used to do that too. So that counts as the work, if you want to call it that.
Makes sense.
It becomes work. It's not work at first. It becomes, you can't believe it almost actually in the beginning. Like when I first got to IGN as like an intern, and then I was like, this is great. This is incredible. And I knew at that point, I'm like, I got to do this with my life. And then I ended up doing it with my life. And then it did lose its luster, as all things do.
Right.
No matter what it is.
Yeah, that applies to everything. Yeah. But it becomes a job.
Do you ever have a weird experience at work that you still kind of... Because I think about this one thing that happened. I just remembered it as you were talking. You know, I worked at Sears, and at some point they had hired this new girl cashier, and I was like, oh, I guess we got a new hire. It's interesting. And I think at some point in like that week, we were clocking out at the same time, and we were like, oh, we should get lunch together. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, a little lunch thing, cool. And she was really cool, and I liked her quite a bit, and I was like, oh cool, I made a new friend here. And then the next day, didn't show up. And then no one addressed it.
What?
Yeah. And then I realized like, oh, I didn't get her name.
What?
And then I thought like, is this a ghost? Like what just happened? Like it was just very strange. It was like a very like I still kind of this is like a point of mystery for me that I actually like genuinely forgot about almost entirely.
What?
Where it's like, who the fuck was this woman? That it seemed like only did I hallucinate this person? I
wonder.
Like it was weird.
You never checked this with anybody else that worked with you?
I think I was too nervous to check it with other people. Because I was like, I didn't want to seem even crazier.
Dude, that's amazing.
I think I nudged it. I would be like, are we like, did someone like, I you know what I mean? That you try to play it off.
Yeah,
like,
trying to get them to
like, you know, less than you know. Or so it's like, I think I said something along the lines of like, do we have the same people on schedule this week as last week or something? And then somebody would be like, nah, I think it's mostly the same. I'd be like, it's not a great answer.
Damn it.
Yeah.
So it's actually the worst answer you probably could have given me.
Right.
But it's just weird. Like I just never addressed. She was there for 1 week. And in that week, it was like, I maybe only saw her like maybe twice. The first time that I saw her, and then the time we got lunch together. I don't remember anything about her, thinking about it back. I don't remember the conversation. It's very strange.
I love that you're taking this to your grave. I gotta say, I love this.
It's deeply infuriating. And I think it's why I buried it so deeply in my mind. And I only remembered it just now as we're talking about work environment stuff. And now it's going to bother me for another week until I bury it again.
You just reminded me that wasn't necessarily bad. It was just very weird work experience where we were hired for the videography job by this company that was making an app that doctors could then prescribe. And so there would be videos of like some kind of like physical therapy type thing. And this guy had hired this woman who was not a practicing doctor. And so we met her and they rented out this side area of an active medical facility. I don't remember what it was. We get there and she didn't have any, like she was supposed to explain the videos and then have an example person there, but they bailed out on her or something. And so it was offered for me to be in the video. And my boss was like, oh, that's fine. And she can pay you on top of what I'm paying you. I was like, fuck, hell yeah. Now this did involve me being in a gown and being videotaped, and I wonder if someone has these videos out there, and having this strange woman like touch my chest and stuff. I don't remember what it was, some kind of muscle thing. I don't know. But what was really weird, where this really gets weird, this woman seemed a little weird, like just like something about her was off. we went out to lunch and then we came back and we find her in one of these. And remember, this is an active medical facility. Like across the other side of the door, it was like some other practice.
Okay.
She's inside smoking a cigarette
It's fucking awesome.
in the building. And then we start to film the next video, dude, and she's like slurring her speech. Like she's like totally was on the sauce during lunch and then was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if I can really do this right now. I think I might be sick." And I'm like, what is going on with this lady?
Love it.
She's smoking in this medical building, doing shots in between. And then the other thing too is that she didn't pay us for like months. Like we had to like send like a lawyer letter to her and all this shit. It was
It's great.
madness.
I love it.
Dude, this
Yeah.
is why I miss working on site. The characters.
Oh, dude.
Characters. There's no, you know,
You get a lot of stories.
you get a lot of stories and a lot of experiences. You know, you meet the good people, the bad people, the drunk people, the people that smoke indoor, like people that eat apples at the urinal, like I explained last week. Like it's like you got to have these people. So it's vital. It's vital it's like the lifeblood of just living. I just miss it. Now I would get sick of it in a week. Don't get me wrong. I like working remotely. I don't want to switch back, but that's the thing you're trading.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Dag, this leaves you.
All right, boys. I got 2, and I want you to choose. Which one do you want first? Do you want sexual harassment or break room critters?
We got to hear about the sexual harassment.
Yeah,
All right, I'll start with
Sex
sexual
sells.
harassment.
Let's go.
All right, let's do sexual harassment. So let me preface this by saying that 2 things. 1994 was a very different time.
Oh, yeah.
And number 2, now I was on the receiving end of sexual harassment. I want to be clear about that. But when I tell this story, I'm in no way endorsing sexual harassment of any kind. It's just that I think, like date and time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was a problem until later.
Okay.
Okay. But this happened to me, I want to say 94. So let me paint you the picture. I moved to Philadelphia to go to art school in 94, early 94, February. And I had no money. I think I moved to Philadelphia with $800 because I sold my car. Like I had $800. I had my living my room and board taken care of, but I didn't have money for food or anything beyond that less than $1,000. So I had to work almost immediately. And like many college students do, I was 20. I fell into retail. Now, the names shall be changed to protect the guilty.
Right.
I won't say where I worked, but if you get ascertained a certain amount of clues, you'll figure it out. Worked at this big retail chain on Walnut Street, Center City, Philly, and kind of always wanted to work retail. I thought it was kind of glamorous at first because I worked in supermarkets my whole teenage life. From 10th grade on in high school, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, I worked in the supermarket. So I always looked at retail, like working in the mall or something, as like a step above. So I finally got my wish. I dressed up all nice. I applied for this job. It was a higher end retail store. It wasn't Louis Vuitton or Fendi, but it was a nice retail store. Okay. Nice retail outlet, men's and women's clothes. And the people were generally nice, but I was pretty regularly, not pretty regularly, I was regularly sexually harassed by 2 different people there on an ongoing basis. I don't remember a lot of physical interaction.
Jesus.
But I was definitely emotionally and I guess you could say emotionally and mentally sexually harassed for at least a year straight. Starting in 94, maybe crossing over into 95. Now, I have to say, again, I'm not saying this is acceptable in any way. It's horrible. But my primary feeling about this at the time on both fronts from both offenders was that it was funny. And I guess because I didn't feel like I was in danger. I didn't feel threatened.
Yeah.
So I just thought, being new to retail and not working in like the produce department of a supermarket, I guess there was part of 20-year-old Dagan that just thought this is the way it was, right? So The first offender was one of my managers. She was an assistant store manager. We'll call her Jenny. And she would just regularly, she would never do anything in the purview of other coworkers or customers, which was in itself a problem, right? So she would always wait until I got into the back room where she was at the desk or sorting out product that they were receiving or whatever in the back room. And she would just kind of like be very flirty, like, oh, hi, dig in, and like look me up and down and maybe like brush my arm with her fingertips and stuff like that. It was definitely above and beyond friendly. But again, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like she was going to grab my crotch or anything like that. But the other thing is, and again, I'm not saying this is acceptable, was that I think part of the issue with me not realizing it was a problem is that she was super hot. And she was older. Like if I'm 20, she's probably late 20s. 20, anywhere from 27 to 30 is my best guess. Right. So not only was she hot, but she was older. Right. And that, this predates Helene by a couple of years. I wasn't dating anybody. So there was her, but she would do it on an ongoing basis, and it would intensify the comments and stuff, and the behavior would intensify to the point where I thought maybe if she got me alone and thought that we would be undisturbed for a few minutes, she could take it to the next level. So I guess I was a little leery, but for the most part, I just rolled with the punches. And again, like never thought it was out of the ordinary. Maybe took it as a compliment because she was an older, hotter lady, but it was definitely troubling behavior. And I think about it now as a dad. Like if that happened to one of my kids, I'd be fucking mortified. But, I was also of the era where we didn't tell our parents anything. Like I never told my parents about this. They still don't know. If they listened to the show, they would just be finding out about this for the first time.
Yeah.
And the other one was a guy.
Hold on, Dave.
Yeah.
Before we move on. Okay.
Please.
I got it. You're 20.
I'm 20 years old.
And a hot older woman is flirting with you.
Super hot. I mean, she was hot.
What's the problem?
What is going on here? I don't really understand.
What are you, gay? What's going on here?
All right, let me. Colin knows how I am with this kind of stuff. I am very conservative in the fact of like, I don't shit where I eat. Like I don't do the workplace relationship thing.
Yeah.
And I think I had already established those parameters for myself. And I think because I was so poor, I mean, I was borderline destitute. Like I was kind of like one of those impoverished college students. Like that $250 a week was everything. Like I couldn't jeopardize that. Like I was putting myself through school, barely making whatever I was making there, $1,000 a month or whatever I was making. So I guess there was that. And I guess there was the fact of like, I didn't know how much of it was just like a game for her. You know what I mean? Like, was she just being, she knew there was this young, impressionable kid. She knew she could do it when we were in the space of just being with each other. And she probably knew, like, I didn't give off that snitch energy, I guess. Like she's taking a risk because she doesn't really know me, but I guess she knew she could do it and get away with it. Right. Which is, again, like, that's a really troubling thing to do to somebody. Because what if I was like somebody who took offense to it or felt threatened? You know what I mean? But again, I'm in this thing of like, just again, rolling with the punches, maybe being too cool about it. And at the time, not realizing it was really a problem or anything out of the ordinary. I was naive.
Sure.
The other one,
to be clear.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Sure.
Not downplaying unwanted sexual advances. But I was just curious why in this situation, if you said she was hot and you are
super hot,
fully an adult at this point, like what's, And
I
feel like that would be a dream situation for most 20-year-old men. So that's why I was wanting some elaboration.
I mean, I could even tell you now, Dustin, you want me to be completely honest? I think I probably squandered that opportunity. I mean, in many ways, there's part of me that's like, you know what? What were you doing? Now, if push came to shove and I reciprocated, right? Would she then have been like, dude, I'm like playing around with you, So I guess there was that too. I was a pretty shy kid. I mean, I've always been shy. I think I'm still kind of introverted and shy in many ways, but I was really shy. I was fresh out of the suburbs in a big city. That was the other thing. You know what I mean? It was I was thrust into a whole different culture, not just working retail, not just being in college now, but going from Long Island to Philadelphia. It's not New York, but it's pretty close. I mean, it's a big city, so I'm dealing with all of that. And I think I'm a little cowed by the whole experience too. So I guess I wasn't really feeling like even 25-year-old Dagan would have been much more confident in that situation, like later in college, later in my Philly experience. But like being fresh to the city, I guess it was just like one of those things. But now that you're mentioning it, yeah, I might have been able to tap that. You know what I mean?
So, some people are saying Dagan Moriarty is shy and gay. I don't like to say it, but
here's the other one, her accomplice. And I do remember them being close with each other. There was a gay guy that I worked with. We'll call him Freddie. Okay. To protect again, I liked him. Super nice guy, but he was the guy who actually sexually harassed me in sight of the other employees and would-be customers and stuff. And he would do little things. Like he was always dressed. It was the type of retail where you had to dress in the clothing from the store. We got like a 30% discount. You were expected to either be wearing the clothes or clothes in the style of that place, obviously, because you're trying to sell clothing, right? So you want to look like you want to look the part. He was always dressed to the nines. He was a little older than me. He might have been same as the other person, same as Jenny, right? He was like late 20s, early 30s. But he was just kind of like he was a private, he was a soldier like me. He wasn't like management or anything like that. And he would do a signature thing where he would just kind of walk back, swinging his keys or whatever. We had the keys to the fitting rooms, right? Swinging his keys, and he would sashay on back and with his hand on his hip, and he would look me up and down and suck his teeth. Like he liked what he saw. He would just do that to me countless times in a shift.
How could he not with the Dagster,
And in the clothes, I mean, picture it.
Yeah.
I was a vision. I was handsome. I was fit to be in a catalog for this place. Let's be honest with each other. Actually, you know what? Like that 20-year-old Dagan, super, like probably malnourished. Maybe I weighed 110 pounds. It wasn't.
Wow.
What the fuck? Looking my best. I wasn't looking my best.
How's that? Are you
120 pounds, maybe something like that?
Yeah, let's be.
No more than that. Wait,
how tall are you, Dagan?
5'9", 5'10".
110 for 5'9" is fucking outrageous.
I was skinny. You know what? I think I might have a picture. Hold
That's
on.
like cocaine skinny.
You know what? I might. This is actually. Let me see if I can hold this up for the camera. I think this is in here. This would be about the era. Okay. Oh, I'm with our sister in this one. I don't know if you guys could see it. It's pretty skinny.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty skinny dude. See?
I get that. Still doesn't look like 110 to me, but like, yeah. I know what you're saying.
Should I cover Dana? Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So
it's a solid like 5 seconds.
So this
of, like,
guy, Fred,
picture. Should I cover it now?
Too late now. So he would do that sort of thing to me and probably make the passing remark about, oh, you look so good today or whatever. But again, I think that was probably the first time I remember a gay guy flirting with me. And I think I took it as a compliment. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, all right. Like it doesn't mean, you know, like any reasonable human being would do. It doesn't make me gay because the gay guy's flirting with me. I got a kick out of it. I got a kick out. Well,
everybody wants a piece of the Dagster.
I got a kick out. But dude, can you imagine? Like, I can't even imagine in a corporate setting like that going on now 30 years later. Can you even imagine like how much things have changed? And it is troubling and it is upsetting. And again, I look at it in the context of, let me see it through the lens of if my kids were in that situation, I'd be very upset. But again, I think the overarching theme with these two people was I never felt like I was in danger and I never felt threatened. And in fact, I thought it was pretty funny. And I know it's a controversial thing to say, but even in retrospect, I think it's kind of funny. In no way endorsing that behavior. Don't do that to people. But for some reason, you know what I mean? Those people, I think the most fascinating part of it is you're taking a huge risk by doing that to somebody. Like you could really fuck yourself up. I mean, you could fuck yourself out of your job easily, but to say nothing of how that would make somebody feel, but that would just seem like.
Yeah, you'd think out of self-preservation alone, you'd be not be doing that stuff.
Yeah,
but
control yourself.
Right, exactly.
Control yourself.
It is great. I had experiences like that, at some of the jobs I worked, where it was just, except they were further than that. It was like I remember,
really,
dude. I remember this manager or this person above me, this lady. She grabbed my ass twice, on the job, and I remember being like, okay, and I just remember being like, I need money.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's like,
so I was, and also it was at the time where I was just like, I do feel like just people aren't going to take it seriously. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, it's a woman and a man. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't feel like it was worth.
She said.
It really just it just kind of felt like if I said anything about it, it would be just like no one would care. And I think that's probably true. It's probably still true today, to be honest.
I think that's true.
So I just remember at that point, I was just like, I'll just avoid this person. And I was at that point, I already made the decision I was leaving soon anyway, because I was a little bit after. It was a little bit after I'd fallen asleep. So I stayed there a little while longer to save up some money, but I would just refuse certain shifts in a row.
Oh, wow.
Where, but that was towards the end. So I was like, do I really want to make a big stink out of this? I probably should have, actually. I could have made a lot of money. But
but I know what you mean. Who needs it?
Yeah. And you don't want to, I don't know, you're going to ruin someone too. You have to think about that. Not that they deserve it or not. It depends. I think it depends on,
I don't know,
the scale of what was done. I will say,
sure.
I say this to Michael all the time, is no, I don't remember a woman ever hitting on me. Really?
Really?
No. I was definitely hit on and sexually harassed by gay men. Like you were saying, that's definitely happened to me in San Francisco for sure. I mean, but yeah, women, I never had it. And for me, I've always been really conscious of, it's not shitting where you eat or anything like that. It's just I want to be very careful about who I'm interacting with and how I'm interacting with people and the situations I put myself in and all of that. So that when people be like, oh, this crazy thing happened at a party, or this crazy thing happened here or there. I was like, I was never even in those situations. I always joked around, I never went to one E3 party, for instance. You would hear debauched, crazy shit about E3 parties and things that would happen at a lot of these different things in people's hotels and all that. And I'm never, you could never even accuse me of having been in one of those things. No one would even believe you. It was a joke that I would ever even go to those kinds of things. So I would always just limit my exposure to any of these situations wherein I probably would have gotten hit on, or, you could try to flirt with someone and it get misinterpreted. All that shit what's funny is that this is all pre-Me Too as well, because I wasn't even in the corporate world during the Me Too era. All that kind of stuff happened after I was out. So, but I was always very deliberate and careful so that, I didn't want anyone to misinterpret anything, and I didn't want to be misinterpreted, and I didn't want to be in position, being put in a position with anyone as well. But I must say, I really never recall a woman hitting on me.
Kyle, I'll tell you something. I mean, what you say, working in video games is a very parallel thing, but I worked in animation. I work in animation, and I was on site for years, and animation is the very irreverent version of the typical office environment. You know what I mean? Animators are cut from a different cloth. There's 80% of creatives that are in the building or on the staff. It's a whole different ball of wax. It's much less conservative than the typical prototypical, sterile office environment. But I've seen people go down over sexual harassment, even working in animation. And they, honestly, a lot of them should have, you know what I mean? And without even knowing the full situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
On the other hand, I will say, and I don't want to say specific names, but a couple of things happened at IGN after I was gone where I know the people involved, and I'm like, this didn't happen like that. There's just no way that this person did this. No, I don't. I still don't. I won't. People can kind of read between the lines, but it's there are just certain people that were accused of things where I'm I just don't. Something could be true, something could be false. I don't know, but I don't believe the accusations. I don't believe them. I don't believe that person would have done that. And
it's because it was out of character.
Right. It's that doesn't make any sense. And that's why I believe that there was flirtations where people were interacting and there were misinterpretations and all of that. But that's exactly what I was saying earlier about not even casting that net. Just there will be no misinterpretations of anything because I'm not saying anything to anyone. Like,
that's how you have to really.
But, and I think that that's probably what ended up happening. But knowing there are two people in particular, actually 3 really people in particular that were accused of things at IGN where I'm like, I don't think so. Like, you know, anyone's capable of anything.
Sure.
But I'm like, I don't think so. Like, you know, like I don't think so. And so just I think keeping those things that could be interpreted one way or the other, just don't even materialize them at all. And then there's nothing to it. You know, I always, so it is a form of not shitting where you eat, but to me, it's just like, I feel like too much is up for interpretation. People are too sensitive about things. And that's one side of it. And then there is like real harassment and assault and all those things on the other side. And then somewhere in the middle, everything kind of gets blurred where someone fumbles trying to flirt with someone. And on the other hand, someone tries to pass off something that was deviant as something casual. It's caused an entire muddied bullshit situation for a lot. That's why I think a lot of people always say like dating is a nightmare, because it's like, where are you even supposed to meet people at this point? Because you can't trust any situation anymore. Work used to be like the great place to meet people, but then you watch Mad Men or something, you're like, well,
I understand
that was kind of not all right. So
yeah, just acting out in any way is really rolling the dice. You know what I mean? Again, to say nothing of what you're doing. What was weird with the Jenny character was that she was so beautiful and obviously, you know, the opposite of hard up. Like, she could have got whoever she wanted. So the fact that she was behaving like that meant something more. Like, maybe she was not even well. You know, there was no other indications that she was unwell mentally. But what, you know, you would expect again, not to put a certain physical attributes with the behavior, but I mean, I'll tell you guys something. Can I tell you guys one thing I never mentioned? This is kind of branching out off the topic, and it's tooting my own horn a little bit, but toot. I'll tell you guys something that happened to me very recently. All right. This girl, it was so random. She was young. I told Helene about this. She was like, you're out of your mind. I'm telling you right now. The girl's in her 20s. I don't know exactly how much. Let's say she was in her mid-20s. I was in a bagel place getting breakfast for the family. This girl looked at me like I was a piece of meat. I have never been looked at like that now. I think I was an average looking guy on a good day. I understand I'm 51 years old. The looks are only going downhill from here. I'm telling you, this girl looked at me like I was a succulent pork chop, and she hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. I have never been looked at like that.
I'll be your father figure.
Dude, it was insane. The look was so long and lingering that I was turning around to see if she could have possibly been looking at, there was nobody else. Like, she was looking at me.
Yeah. No one's ever checked me out before.
It was amazing.
Believe me.
It was an amazing feeling, because it was like, you see the ring, obviously, right? Or maybe she didn't. I don't know. But it was just like, I don't think I've ever been looked at like that in my prime. You know what I mean? So there's always hope, Kyle, is what I'm saying. And you don't go out that much.
No, I'm not.
You need to get out there.
No, I'm not out there. I'm not out there at all. Yeah.
Get out there.
I'm married now and I'm good. You know?
I understand, but it's just to encourage. It's an encouraging feeling. It's great for your confidence. It's an ego boost.
Yeah, I'm good.
We can set up a sexual harassment situation from someone here at Last
Stand.
Stand.
If someone can harass me, that would be great.
I was thinking, you know, at this company, I mean, we're talking about each other's dick and balls, whatever. Like,
it's an HR nightmare here.
It's an HR nightmare. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. You know, like, it's just got to be what it is. Like, it's
Right.
I would be shocked if we had anyone inside that would get upset about the things that are said. It's
oh my God.
Like, truly, like, I would be, and I'm not saying that because it's my company and I would be responsible. I guess it's like, no, I believe that. I just don't think that. I think everyone knows what time it is. Nothing's very serious. If there are serious things that come up, then people can.
It's comedy.
Right. Exactly.
It's intended as comedy.
Exactly.
You know,
when and it's funny the way other people read into things too. It's fun because remember when we had Cog on last month and I said N-word in Paris, like the song name, people got really upset. And then people were inferring all these things about my relationship with Cog, the way Cog really feels about things, like the way I really feel about things and all the rest. And to the point where I actually got with Cog and I was like, hey, I feel like I need to talk to you about this. Like, is there a problem here? When he was like, dude, I have no idea what anyone's talking about. Like, I don't care. And I didn't think twice about it.
I remember that moment. Right.
You know, like you have to just, everything's open to random interpretation, in other words.
Yeah.
So I just try to limit what can be interpreted. And I've always been really careful about things too. Like I've told the story about when I was a freshman in college. Dagan and I talked about this. I was like really into this girl and she was always like hard to get and kind of flighty. And then she was drunk one day and came over to my dorm room like one night and like wanted to hook up. And I was like, no, like I can't do it. Like you're drunk. Like it's,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is such an obvious situation not to put myself in. I was even aware of that at like 18 or 19 years old. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Or maybe you do, and you're, it's uninhibiting. And now you're like, but like, I don't want to play around with it. Right. Exactly. No. It's like, and I've always kind of just been, I've always kept that in mind actually, where it's like, you got to just stay guarded on things and like not leave things up to interpretation with people. Cause you truly don't know. And things can be misinterpreted, good, bad, or indifferent. And
you don't want to make people uncomfortable.
Right. Well, right.
Think
exactly.
About
and
them.
That's
Be
what
considerate.
That's what I think about with the things that people have been accused at, like at least the things I were aware of that people were accused at IGN, where I'm like, I just don't think that this is being interpreted the way it was being delivered. And I don't think that I think people can be uncomfortable and dissatisfied and unhappy with a situation without it being this really traumatic thing that ruins people's careers, for
criminal.
instance.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that Aziz Ansari thing that happened with him, right?
What happened with him?
Exactly.
He had some sort of uncomfortable liaison with a girl that was blown into this rapey sort of thing that never happened or whatever,
it wasn't nearly the same thing, but it would be talked about in the same vein as like Harvey Weinstein unfairly. But it's just like, it was very clear. Like if you looked into it, it's like, it's not good, but like, it's not even close to
on the same level,
to the same, to the degree that people were talking about it. But yeah, I don't know.
I just want to thank the young girl with the really poor vision for making me feel good.
Yeah, she was blind.
I'll be eating off that moment for years, because it's not going to happen again. And this girl, for some reason, she just couldn't see well. She had cataracts. I don't know, at a young age, poor kid.
Young girls like older guys, Dig. I mean, that's like a thing.
I don't know.
That is true. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
that's a real
thing. Look at Bill Belichick and his fucking 23-year-old girlfriend or whatever.
He's like a multi-millionaire.
Look at Boogie 2988
and George Clooney's super handsome and has a castle. Like,
wait, Boogie has a young girlfriend?
Well, he did. I don't know.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that documentary that shows them in the tub together.
Oh, you're right.
I don't even really know anything about anything that's going on with him. Jaffe's
doesn't matter.
Jaffe does something with him now, or he's in the same.
What? Is that real?
Yeah, like aren't they like in the same network? Like Jaffe does a show on like the Lil Cow network now or whatever, like that 24-hour Star thing. Yeah.
You know what? I've been wanting to ping Jaffe because
oh my god,
there was a conversation. Kyle, did you see this? There was a conversation with Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
And who's the guy who created Civil War? He's doing
Alex Garland.
Alex Garland. Did you see that their talk?
No, I didn't see the talk. I saw. Isn't Alex Garland attached to the Death Stranding movie now or something though? Isn't that?
Oh, is he really?
There was a report the other day that he was going to be attached to the Elden Ring movie.
Elden Ring, that's what it was.
Oh,
and then it was immediately removed.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so I don't know if it was bogus. Or
28 years later is coming out.
Yeah.
So he's attached to that, but they bring in that conversation. Let's say it's an hour long between those two. And they're talking, singing each other's praises. And it's a really great conversation between a video game creator and a director, writer. They mentioned David Jaffe twice in that conversation, which I thought was so cool, because it makes you feel like, wow, I'm one step closer to Alex Garland. I sit with Jaffe on the show sometimes.
6 degrees. I feel like I get really annoyed I've told Jaffe this privately, but it's like I get really annoyed on his behalf, actually, because I feel like a lot of his legacy has been robbed of him.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
That those two,
in the sense that I just feel like, because I actually feel the same way in a different way, and I don't know him nearly as well, but I feel the same way about Cliffy B. Where I feel like people on the periphery of that are not well-liked individuals or are, have a bravado or a certain way about them that rubs people the wrong way. Like Cliffy B definitely has that, rubs people the wrong way. Jaffe obviously rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I feel like they've just been dismissed as and what's funny is that they're both designers, and that bothers me. So yeah, it's good for him to get credit, because I feel like he doesn't get credit for really vital things, and I feel like he doesn't do himself any favors. Like I'm still mad at him that he turned down the cameo in Twisted Metal. I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why wouldn't you do that? It's like, well, I just don't really want to go anywhere and stuff. I'm like, all right, Jaffe. Like, well, they're trying to like put like
trying to give you your flowers.
Yeah, at a certain point, it does become like, well, is it for lack of trying? You know? Because like that, I would have done that, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a nice little tribute to the guy responsible, or one of the guys.
And I keep saying, if for people that have watched the show, like I think he would have been awesome as the map guy, like the map maker guy, who's like just a random character for like a little while. I'm like, that would have been perfect for you, dude. Like it would have been so funny that you were just that like random character.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No vision.
That's pretty old. So we're running long on this topic. Do you guys want my break room rodent story real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. And then we'll move on.
We had same thing, same period, same era, Philly, 94, 95. I was working another retail job, whole different corporation. Now this, even at the time in the mid 90s, this was already a very big company, a retail chain. I think, and Philly based, they're kind of, their flagship stores in Philly. They started their business in Philly. So if you do a little bit of research, you can find out who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure now they're a Fortune 500 company. But I worked in one of their retail spaces. Again, going through college. I was probably second year in school. And working in the men's department of this place. And it was a weird thing. Again, it was like similar to Chris's Sears situation, where it seemed like maybe they were skirting the laws or walking the razor's edge, because I always had 15-minute lunch or dinner breaks, regardless if it was a 4-hour shift or an 8-hour shift. I'm not sure legally how they pulled that off, but I only ever had 15 minutes to eat at this place. And so it was like you couldn't go out and grab something and eat at the beautiful park, Rittenhouse Park across the street. And by no means did you have time to go sit down somewhere.
Rittenhouse Park?
Yeah, named after Kyle Rittenhouse.
So it was like you had like one of two options: bring your food and keep it in disgusting break room fridge, or go to like the little cheesesteak food cart or dirty water dog joint right outside the building and just go back in and eat in this break room. Like there was no other options. There was no other place to go. Like you were funneled into this break room. The problem with this little break room in this old Philadelphia building was that it was fucking disgusting. I mean, it smelled. And the thing was, there were just mice everywhere. Like if you went in to eat in that room, you were going to see live mice crawling around. And there was dead mice, so it smelled. And where are they? They're in the walls. It always stunk in there. But you were bound to see. You weren't bound to see. You were going to see living mice skittering around the floor where you ate in there. It was disgusting. So the mice poop everywhere. Very unsanitary. And again, this wasn't like a little mom and pop operation. This was a corporate store, of a big corporate chain that's huge now. And also, by the way, I like this company a lot and I liked working for them, but this was one of those little anomalies. It was like, how is this allowed? You're filtering your employees into here. Everybody's got to come through there to eat. Oh, and that's where the time clock was. So that's where you punched in and out. It was probably, outside of working briefly in restaurants a couple of times, in Philly, it was definitely the most unsanitary conditions that I had to deal with. And it was never dealt with. I mean, this went on for the better part of 2 years. It was just gross. You know what I mean? You get your cheesesteak, you're starving, you just worked 5 hours, you got to shove food down your throat. Now you got to do it in this environment. It was nasty. It's a bad memory, And the worst part was this cheesesteak guy. He was like a Greek gentleman. So he had like all the typical stuff. He had cheesesteaks. I think he made eggs. So he made the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches in the morning. He had the gyros and the dirty water dogs, but his cheesesteaks were delicious. They were legit. And you can never really enjoy it though, because you had to do it in this disgusting break room.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was bad. It was terrible. Bad news. I hope it's better now because that store is still there. Although I think it's a different store now, but same chain, same retail umbrella. Yeah. Shout out to 18th and Walnut Street. You guys could look it up. You can find out what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's it for me, man. You know what this makes me think of though? I haven't had work experiences that were that bad. I count myself pretty lucky.
Yeah.
In all this.
Yeah, some people lose fingers and shit, And they're not even working factory jobs. They're just like at McDonald's.
Dude, Chris, did I ever tell this story on the podcast? We had a nanny. This was when the kids were younger. She was a little bit out of her mind, this one. She came in one day and she was like, I'm sorry I'm late. We had like an ordeal last night. Her dad, apparently working on the table saw, cut off 5 of his fingers.
Jesus Christ.
Well, how are you even here right now?
You'd think after the first 2, you'd stop.
5 fingers on 2 different hands. I was like, wait, what? Whoa. It was the most nauseating thing to even envision that. She's like, I'm so sorry I'm late. This happened last night. Now, I still don't know. I hate to say it, but I still don't know if it's true. But who the hell makes something like that up?
That'd be an easy thing to verify.
Yeah, it's like, this is also why I just stay away from all of that shit, where I'm like, I have no interest in dealing with anything of that power and that caliber. It's not worth it to me. I'm good. I'll hire someone to do that stuff. I'm good. I really respect and I think it's amazing carpentry and all that kind of stuff, woodworking and
big
it's amazing, but it's not. No, absolutely not. There's no way. I'd lose like both of my arms.
It's pretty hard. I feel like it's kind of hard to you have to try in a lot of cases. Or you have to be like, I think you'd actually be pretty good at it, Colin, because you are so neurotic that nothing bad would ever happen to you. Because you would be so prepared.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Like
there's people get complacent about it. They're like, yeah, whatever.
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's true. The manliest thing I do is mow a lawn or use like a weed whacker, and that's like really low on the rung of manliness. That's about as nuts as I'm going to get with it. Got the lawnmower going, and even my lawnmower is electric, so it's kind of gay.
It's kind.
I didn't know you used an electric mower.
Yeah, I love it. I personally, I have a whole electric suite of things like electric weed whacker and blower and lawnmower.
It's not a Tesla, is it? Your neighbors may wreak some terrorism on.
Many of my neighbors drive Teslas, so no, this is a pretty conservative neighborhood. But it's actually pretty mixed. We have a couple people that still have their Harris signs in their windows.
Oh, interesting.
Which is interesting. But yeah, we do have one person that drives a Tesla in our neighborhood has a sticker on their car now that says I bought it before I knew he was an asshole or something like that.
I think a lot of people are probably in that boat.
But but a lot of people in my neighborhood have Tesla. You know what? I love seeing Rivians. I'm seeing more of those now, which is cool.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah. Such beautiful cars. Super expensive though.
What the hell's a Rivian? I never heard of that.
They're like
another American.
Yeah, they're like an American electric car
company. They make a pickup and an SUV.
Yeah, the SUV
I think
is
they're
what
working on a mini SUV.
Oh,
they're gorgeous, dude. They're fast. I saw some guy turning out in a Rivian. I passed him and he was making the left to go in my direction. He was behind me and I was going 60. He was behind me in about a second. I was like, what the fuck? It was so quick. Yeah, Rivians are cool, man. They have those telltale narrow headlights. Yeah. They're like slits, vertical slits.
Oh, I don't know if I'm into this.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them just because
I'm half into it. I'm just this. I like generally what's happening, but there's something that's kind of pulling me away for some reason.
I root for all these American companies to do well. I want Tesla to do well too. Tesla's such a deeply American car. I want these companies to find their way. So it's cool to see more Rivians, and hopefully we'll see. It's hard to get a new car company going, but hopefully we'll see even more of them in the near future.
There's more. There's more. What is it? Lucid Air is the other one. There's more. Yeah, Rivian must be getting a lot of market share, even though they're a lot more. That's the shame. Elon was making Teslas pretty affordable. And you could get the Model S Plaid for $120,000, or you could get a Model Y that was reasonably priced and with tax incentives in your state. Mm-hmm. Now you're driving away a Tesla for $25,000. That's unheard of these days. And then everything happened, which is kind of a shame because I think you can't get a Rivian brand new for less than 90 or something.
It's a shame just because it's like it is like a truly American car company that's employs a lot of people. So I'm really rooting for Tesla but for Rivian and all these other companies too. On the old companies, I mean, I want them to do well too. I just think that they're kind of, I don't want to say dead men walking, but they're not American, but when you read about like Nissan, for instance, like Nissan's in really bad shape. Apparently it's really shocking to like know that. I'm like, wow, because I don't really follow things too much. You just assume all these car companies are kind of healthy post recession where they're okay. And it's like, no, Nissan's like fucked. You know,
they're really in trouble.
I heard Nissan. Nissan's been fucked as long as I've been cognizant of cars. Really, like nobody that I ever knew happily drove a Nissan. I remember that those are the only cars that I remember people having like people genuinely openly complaining about for a long time. Like I rented a Nissan, and it's fucking.
I learned how to drive.
Yeah, it was the first Japanese car that was unreliable.
Yeah, I learned how to drive in an Xterra. Dad had an Xterra.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was a good era for Nissan.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, everyone wanted a Nissan Maxima. I don't know where.
Yeah, they were hot cars.
Yeah, that was the car, like the hot car for people in like '99. If you were like in high school, you get like a used, 94 Maxima, and you'd be like the coolest kid.
Yeah, they lost their way.
Yes.
You know what I really liked? I really liked the boxy Volkswagen Jettas.
Oh, sure.
The ones that look like tin cans.
Like the mid-90s.
Yeah, the mid-90s ones.
The Mark III or whatever.
I like boxy cars. I don't like when they started getting round.
Me too.
Like, I don't mind them, I guess, because it's just like kind of how all cars are now. But like those boxy cars, I really like.
Yeah,
I would love a new boxy
Jettas
car.
and Golfs were hot too when I was in high school. That's like,
oh man, such
the
such
Golfs
good
are
cars.
cool.
Oh, they're so cool.
They're not all-wheel drive, which Western PA, it's like I won't buy a car without all-wheel drive.
Really? Dust, you could get a Volkswagen R32, which is like a really, it's an all-wheel drive Golf, but it's like if they still even, well, you might have to get them used. I don't know if they make them anymore, but that's like a $50,000 car, but it's so hot.
You can get a Rivian.
You get a Rivian.
Nope. I'm good. I'm pretty happy with the Subaru.
Yeah, we have a Subaru and we're happy with it too.
Affordable. It's all I need, really.
Apparently it's a lesbian car, but I didn't know that when we bought it.
I think the Subaru in general is kind of lesbian, but it's the Forester specifically.
I think you're right about that.
The lesbian car, like they marketed, they I think they caught on and started marketing them towards lesbians at one point. But I drive.
Did we
one.
discuss?
I mean,
did we discuss? Did you do you do like the secret badges for your Subaru? Do you know about all that stuff?
Secret badges.
Yeah, like
I had them. I had one on my last Subaru, and then I ordered one for my new one, and I thought, this is kind of lame.
Yeah, like there's like these things you can order for, like how they have the ducks for Jeep. Like Subaru has these logos that you kind of quietly put on the back of your car, and they indicate like how many Subarus you've had, and like all these other things, and then like what you're into.
Yeah, the badge of ownership.
Yeah, it's like there's like
I never heard this.
Yeah, so if you keep an eye out for like Subarus, like there's a Subaru. We don't have it. But like, there's like a person down the street that has 2 Subarus in their driveway. I talk to them sometimes, like when I'm just walking by, and they have like the little emblems on the back of their car.
I never saw.
There's like a Sun, I think, if you're like into outdoors stuff, and like there's like all this weird stuff, and there's like a secret language between Subaru owners.
What? Helene drives a Subaru. I never heard of this in my life.
Yeah, I didn't know either until when we bought our Subaru. I learned about it. Then I was like, oh, I didn't know that was like even a thing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And the important thing is it says how many, as I think you said this, how many Subarus you've owned. So I would have one that says my 3rd Subaru.
Oh, that's big shit. I never had 3 of anything. Car-wise.
This is the only, this Subaru is the only
car-wise.
semi-nice one. Because my first one was my dad's 98 Subaru Impreza that was falling apart by the time I got rid of it. And then the other one was an 09 that was a piece of shit also. But this one, it's nice. It's nice enough for me.
Yeah, they got their game. Subaru's got it together. They're doing real well. I think they sell more than Toyota now, actually. They surpassed Toyota,
maybe.
I think.
I'm probably always going to be a Toyota guy, I think.
Toyota's can't go
like
wrong.
Solid.
Can't go wrong.
The Corolla that I had lasted so long and would have lasted longer if my mom hadn't hilariously drove it into a lake.
You told me about this.
Yeah, and I think we could have saved it too, but it would have been more like it would have been. It's crazy how functional that car would have remained after we even fixed it up. But they were just like
bulletproof.
But it would be just like it would be a lot of money to do it. You're better off just getting a new car. So I just didn't.
Absolutely bulletproof.
But
Also,
first
many
car was
Toyotas are built here, so they're not to be sarcastic, but they're practically American cars, which is good. Like,
No,
A lot of them are, yeah.
Well, dude, there's so many. The thing that I love about them too is that they're so common that like if you need a part, it's so cheap.
Oh yeah.
It's so cheap to find. Even if it's like hyper specific, even if like it's a fender where it's just like, oh, I need a fender in this exact color. No problem. We have 8 of them.
Yeah.
Come on by. And
No
it's
matter
like,
where you are, yeah.
It's so convenient. Like I think when I look at a car, I don't really care about how it looks or whatever. I just like, how convenient is this thing going to be to own? And that's like the
And
most
reliable.
convenient car to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want them reliable.
Everybody's got a fucking Toyota Corolla fender in their back pocket somehow. Insane.
Should we call it because we've gone for 3:15?
That's up to you
Yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable.
So you got to save this topic for next time. This is this is Chris's topic. It's a comfy
save
one,
it.
man. I like this one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'll save it. I'm hungry also, so like I'm
Yeah, I
ready to
hear
fucking
that.
die.
I hear that.
But
All right, boys, Chris, I'll stay with you. Saying goodbye. We're heading into the weekend.
Yeah.
What's going on?
man, what is going on? I'm doing a lot of work tomorrow. So today is like today is kind of chill. I think I'm just gonna play some video games. I restarted very uncharacteristically of me. I restarted Clair Obscur. Don't know why, but I'm deep into it again, which is like, fuck, okay. I guess this is happening. But I'm playing Oblivion at the same time. I'll probably do a little stream in maybe an hour or two after I eat. I don't know. It's kind of a chill day before a hectic weekend. Nothing crazy.
You stream on Twitch, Chris, or
Yeah.
YouTube?
I'm trying to do it more regularly on Twitch because just for a diversification angle. I do have like a Twitch. I do have like a VOD channel that I think I might start doing like maybe simultaneous streams on. That might be smart.
Oh, that's cool.
But I'm really just too lazy to honestly, like, I've already set it up in such a way that it's connected to my main account. So like and that was a pain in the ass. So like the idea of like rerouting it is just kind of like, it'll literally take me all of 10 minutes, but thinking about doing it is so much more arduous.
I get that.
I'm just kind of pushing it off, but I'll eventually start doing the simulcast thing. I try to be in as many places as possible.
That's cool. That's really cool. My God, you reminded me too. I have like a bunch of like 10-minute chores to do around the house. Eileen's going to kill me about. And it's those things. It's like, it's going to take 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's like taxes, literally. It's like, it takes you like maybe like what, like an hour?
Yeah.
to actually do taxes. But like the idea of it is like
Dreadful.
so grueling. And you'd rather jump onto a spike at Mach 10 than put yourself through it.
I know. Instead of just doing it. Oh,
Yeah.
man. You're speaking my language, dude. Dust. Good to see you, my friend. Heading into the weekend. What you got going on?
Well, I really should mow the lawn after this, but I probably will. I really do. I take no pleasure in mowing the lawn. I just hate it. So I'm going to probably do that. Got to get the Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches.
Oh, yeah, dude.
For the Lord of the Rings movie tonight. As far as this weekend, no plans right now. Keeping it chill. But I'm lightly, just a aside, I'm lightly planning. I think Holly and I are going to go to Cedar Point sometime in the next few weeks. So been planning a little bit of that. But yeah, just keeping it chill. Nice to be here with you guys today.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. My dude. Kyle, what do you got going on, dude? I know you and Mike are going to dinner.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to rain, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to really do this, but I think I'll be all right. I'm gonna try to just go for one of my long walks because it's a little cooler now. Try to take advantage of it. There won't be many more walkable days until October.
Oh my God.
Or whatever.
It's 95.
You won't walk in the heat?
Right,
how about just at sunset?
Yeah, it's okay. It's muggy here, and I'm a sweater. I'm an overheater. So actually, when I was walking a couple of days ago, the sprinklers were just going, and I just like walked right through them, like, onto the sidewalk, like, because I needed to like cool down. By the way, I said when I went on one of my walks, I sent you guys the pictures to illustrate the various things I was talking about.
Yes,
on
you
our
did.
show.
Oh,
The
yeah, you did.
magnet,
Yes, you did.
The trees that have been there for 8 years, but just have things hanging on them still, and
that down tree.
Yeah, that's
like
still
when
there,
when you were telling me about it, I just kind of figured like trees are huge. Like trees are big, you know what I mean? Like I thought like maybe there's like a reason, maybe it's expensive to get the equipment or like to hire somebody or just like it's a pain in the ass, like whatever. I could pick that tree up.
No,
Yeah,
you
pull
could
that
easily
out like
put
a
it in a
weed.
garbage can. It's still sitting there. They've been mowing around it. So
That's so crazy.
on their own property. So that's good.
Yeah, that's truly wild.
The magnets,
That
though,
really
the
was.
magnets get me, man. Oh my God, the magnets.
Oh, the magnets are hilarious. Now I'm wondering, is it like the Harris sign? Is that just kind of neglect or is that a statement?
I don't know. It's got to be.
I don't know.
It's at one point whether you want it to be a statement or not. It is a statement. But what am I? So I'm going to go for a walk and then
That's true.
we're going to go out to eat. And then, yeah, like I said earlier, I'm going to play. Got to get through Indiana Jones. Miss Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones.
I say that over and over again when I'm playing it.
Yeah, it's hard not to say it.
But and then, yeah, hopefully on to Expedition 33 at some point this weekend. Doom next week. So that's going to be exciting. And
That sounds fun.
The Last of Us continues on HBO. So, yeah, a lot of things keeping us busy. But yeah, Dave, thanks for doing the show today, and good to be here with the boys, and appreciate you guys.
I tuned out of The Last of Us, I tell you, 2 episodes. I was just too close to the game. I just was like, this is not the game.
Yeah.
I'm in love with the game.
Yeah, sure.
I can't watch this.
The first
I stopped.
season or the second season?
Second
Oh,
season.
second season. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 episodes into the second season, I was like, I'm not watching. And it's not that it's bad. It's just that I love the game so much, and I just want it to be the game.
There are a lot.
It's-
I actually agree with you.
There are departures.
Yeah, there are a lot
Yeah.
of changes.
You have to. And you have to. I understand. It's a different medium. But yeah, and I'll go back and watch it once it's finished. But yeah, I'm not in the mood. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
must be
I'm
hard.
still
Yeah,
loving
it's-
the game.
Must be hard for a game-based TV show to be bad. I don't know what that would be like.
You could kind of sympathize. All right, my friends. Well, I'm out of here. I got a work weekend ahead of me. I'm doing a style guide actually for a new tech startup
Oh, cool.
Oh,
out in Silicon Valley. Yeah, it's pretty neat. They're all going to Cabo for like an investor meetup, and I'm staying home and working. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, well, you get your money though.
It's on
nonetheless.
brand. It's on brand. All right, you guys.
I've been to
let's
Cabo.
keep-
It's fine. You're not missing much.
Yeah, how is it there?
It's
I was
cool.
gonna
It's,
ask.
if you like driving through the worst destitution you've ever seen, to go to gated communities where you feel like an asshole because everyone around you is so poor. But other than that, it's great.
Is that how it is?
That's the way
really?
I felt. I mean, I've talked about that extensively.
Oh man, that's interesting.
That's a
Yeah,
lot
I
of those
wonder
resort
too.
towns.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of Cabo, and I think of Sammy Hagar. I don't because that's where he does his whole tequila operation,
yeah, and
right?
Did you see that he
Cabo
was
Wabo?
it David Lee Roth and him both played recently, like for the first time in a while, like separately, obviously, but both
Oh.
did their respective Van Halen stuff, which was cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a DLR guy, man, through and through.
I like them both. I like both versions
Really?
of Van Halen. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
They're different, but I like them both.
Where do you two stand on that, or you don't care? Complete apathy.
I have no opinion either one way or the other.
Yeah.
Which one is on the song "Jump"? That's the only Van Halen
That's,
song I can
that's
name.
David
Yeah,
Lee
that's
Roth.
a David Lee Roth joint.
I've never heard the other guy, so we'll go with
I
him.
like
Yes.
I like Why Can't This Be Love? That's like a Sammy Hagar joint that I love.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I know jack shit about Van Halen. Truthfully, Jump I think is also the only song I've heard.
Panama, you would know, but that's also David Lee
Oh,
Roth.
Panama, yeah, Panama I've heard as well.
Guys, who do you want? The rock star that goes and forms a tequila company, or do you want the rock star who moves to New York and becomes a paramedic for 20 years and then becomes a rock star again?
Mm.
I mean,
I
there's
like-
no
I like-
choice there.
That second one is pretty awesome.
It's good shit.
I always hoped I would get hurt in New York skateboarding, so there was the possibility of David Lee Roth pulling up in the ambulance. That would have been worth it. You know,
That's
I
awesome.
just kind of love the idea of that. It almost seemed like a joke, but he was serious about it, apparently. All right, my friends. Let's keeping the lights on. Patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access, as always. Kyle, you like when I do the HTTP.
Yeah, colon //
So let's do that. https://laststandmedia.store has the merch. For Chris, Dust, and Kyle, I'm Dagster Moriarty saying thank you for joining us. You're appreciated. We love you. We'll see you next week. Happy Mother's Day to all the mommies out there. And that's it.
Belated.
But, it's going to be a little belated. Or maybe we meet for 2026.
Yeah, we'll just hold this episode.
Or both.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
Yeah.
In the meantime, go listen to your second favorite podcast. We'll see you next week. Get out.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor.